Introduction of Benjamin King, of Ben King's Verse. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Larry Wilson. Ben King's Verse by Benjamin King. Introduction by John McGovern. So far as we know, this young man, now so suddenly dead, was the drollest mimic and greatest humorist of our region. He existed as the welcome and mirthful shadow of conventional and tiresome things. He began as the expositor of "The Maiden's Prayer" on the piano, where each accented note was flat or sharp, and the music flowed rapidly, or over great difficulties, as the score might determine. He arose, and looking half-witted, recited with unapproachable modesty the stammering delight which he would feel if he could be by her. He frowzled his hair, and became Paderewski, who forthwith fell upon the piano tooth and nail, tore up the track, derailed the symphony, went down the stairs and shook the furnace, fainted at the pedals, and was carried out rigid by supers, the greatest pianist of any age. He wrote "If I Should Die Tonight," a parody that was accepted as the true original, the sun, the center of the great "If I Should Die Tonight" system of thought and poetry. He wrote the poet's lament that there was nothing to eat but food, and nowhere to come but off. The artists of the newspaper world generously sprang to his side. They placed him pictorially before the people, and determined with almost prophetic spirit that our small circle should not alone dwell with undiminishing laughter upon the gambols of Ben King. He was coldly, then not coldly, then warmly received by the church fairs, the clubs, and the Elks, where he got a supper if any were left. At last he charged a small sum for appearing publicly, and this sum was rapidly enlarging, and his fortune was in sight, when the hotel porter found him dead in his room at Bowling Green, Kentucky. During the years we knew him, he never spoke to us in a disparaging way concerning any other person, and, unless Paderewski's comb was ruffled by Ben's exhibition of hair and haste in piano playing, no parody or perk or prank of Ben King ever depended for its success upon the wounding of another creature's feelings. We all accounted him a genius, and while we could not guess what he would do next, we awaited his performances with complacence, laughing as if we owned him and had ourselves ordered his latest jeu d'esprit. We deplored the untimely moment of his end. We held beautiful, solemn, and impressive memorial services over his body, with music by the sweet singers whom he had loved when he was alive, and touching words by ministers of the gospel. We buried him affectionately as one who could least be spared from our circle, and as we were the witnesses of what he did, we now change ourselves to be the testimonies of his rare talents. End of introduction. Section 2 of Ben King's Verse. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Larry Wilson. Ben King's Verse by Benjamin King. Biography. Benjamin Franklin King, Jr. was born at St. Joseph, Michigan, March 17, 1857, and died at Bowling Green, Kentucky, April 7, 1894. He was married November 27, 1883, to Asenath Bell Latham of St. Joseph, Michigan, by Professor David Swing at his residence in Chicago. The wife and two sons, Bennett Latham King, aged 9, and Spencer P. King, aged 5, survive him. While yet a child, music came to Ben King as an inspiration. His infant fingers touched the keys of a piano, and a ripple of notes, strange and sweet, startled his parents into the consciousness that a great talent had been given unto him. How odd a boy he was, no one understood him. On the edge of the marsh he would sit during hours at a time, under the spell of the weird music amid the rushes. As he grew up, lacking the instincts that make men successful in business, he was pronounced a failure, not by those who had warmed themselves in the glow of his poetic nature, but by the man who believed that to turn over a dime and thereby to make a dollar of it was the most gracious faculty that could be bestowed upon a member of the human family. But when Ben King died, St. Joseph became more widely known in one day than hundreds of excursions and 1,000 orchards had served to advertise in the past. On that April morning, people living in the far East and the far West asked the question, "Where is St. Joseph?" Ben King was not only a man of music, he was a poet, a gentle satirist, and a humorist of the highest order. Even company was brightened by his coming. Every man felt better for having heard his quaint remarks. There was about him a droll, a charming irresponsibility, a Thomas Hood from Michigan. I find, as I have found for the 50th time while striving to write these lines, that I am still too much under the shock caused by his death to write dispassionately of him. My judgment, the common sense that one should bring to bear upon such a subject, is obscured by the vivid picture of an early morning, and down a dark hallway I still hear a violent knocking, and then comes a throbbing silence, and out of that silence comes an excited whisper, "Ben King is dead." Opie Reed. End of section 2.
If I Should Die by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. If I should die tonight, and you should come to my cold corpse and say, weeping and heartsick o'er my lifeless clay, if I should die tonight, and you should come in deepest grief and woe, and say, here's that $10 that I owe, I might arise in my large white cravat and say, what's that? If I should die tonight, and you should come to my cold corpse and kneel, clasping my bier to show the grief you feel, I say, if I should die tonight, and you should come to me, and there and then just even hint 'bout payin' me that 10, I might arise the while, but I'd drop dead again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Say When and Say It by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. Write me a poem that hasn't been writ. Sing me a song that hasn't been sung yet. String out a strain that hasn't been strung, and ring me a chime that hasn't been rung yet. Paint me a picture but leave out the paint. Pile up a pile of old scenes of my schoolery. Leave me alone, I would fain meditate and mourn all the moments I lost in tomfoolery. Tell me a tale that dropped out of a star. Push me a pun that is pungent, not earthy. I must have something sharp, strident and strong to eke out a laugh or be moderately mirthy. Give me a love that has never been loved, not knowing the glance of the bold and unwary, a cherub abreast with the saints up above, and I'll get along and be passably merry. But come on the fly to me, come on the jump. Don't hang around on the outskirts and walk to me. Throw out your chest well and hold up your head. Say when and say it, or else don't you talk to me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Gettin' My Soul Into Shape by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Reckon de angel what rolled way de stone and let de good shepherd escape, some day'll fly down to dis prison of sin and liberate all that's prepared to come in. So I's gettin' my soul into shape, getting my soul into shape, for you see, it's a mighty big stone that's layin' on me, mighty big stone, yes indeedy. I hope the good angel will have heaps of strength, or else bring old Samson along, case the sin in my soul's more'n 40 foot deep. You see, I've been one of these wandering sheep, and it's gwine to need somebody strong. Gwine to need somebody strong, don't you see? It's a mighty big weight that's a-resting on me, powerful big weight, yes indeedy. I's getting my soul into shape for the day when Peter ag'in's taking his toll, ready to lay down my burden and rest, ready to take up the cross of the blessed, ready to enter the fold. Getting my soul into shape, don't you see? Dar's a big load of sin been resting on me, big load of sin, yes indeedy, yes indeedy. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Evolution by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. We seem to exist in a hazardous time, drifting along here through space. Nobody knows just when we begun, or how fur we've gone in the race. Scientists argue we're shot from the sun, while others we're going right back. And some say we've always been here more or less, and seem to establish the fact. Course, it's something that nobody knows, far as I've read or can see. And them as does know all about the whole scheme, why, none of 'em never agree. Now, why I think it's a perilous time, what do we know about them spots? Up there on that glorious orb of the day, smart men has argued, and lots of the brainiest folks has been ciphering out, and all sorts of stories has riz, about what the sun's made of, or how it's composed, and lots of 'em think that it is. Of course, it's something that nobody knows. Nobody under the sun. Nary a body or being, I suppose. Nary a being but one. Take evolution, and what does she say about how we all sprung from a ape? And there's the gorilla and big chimpanzee, patterned exactly our shape. And I've seen some folks, and I guess so have you, and it ain't none of our business neither, that actually looked like they sprung from an ape, and didn't have fur to spring either. Course, it's something that everyone knows. I don't see how you folks can doubt it. Supposing they have some resemblance to us. No use in writing about it. If a feller'll take a geology book, and not go a-rushing along through it, but just sort of figure the thing out hisself. What I mean is, apply hisself to it. He'll see we've dug up folks 10,000 years old, built on a ponderous plan. Somehow this knocks Mr. Moses all out, and Adam, the biblical man. Of course, it's something that nobody knows, nobody under the sun. And nary a body or being, I suppose, nary a being but one. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Gedder in Your Grain by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. The old plow hoss is busy, breshin' flies off wid his tail. The old dog's got a move on him dat's zactly like a snail. The meadow grass is noddin', and off yonder in the lane I can hear the tree toads warnin', better gedder in your grain. Don't you hear the frogs a-gurglin'? They're out yonder in the pond. What's the matter with the catbird? Don't you hear his voice respond? Ain't the hull of 'em a-tellin' you, in language mighty plain, Don't be frivolin' way yo' moments, better get her in your grain. Ain't the bumblebee a-hummin' amongst the clover tops and flowers, whilst the old clock am a-tickin' way the minutes and the hours? Chile, you's gotta be a-hustlin' to catch the wisdom train. Don't waste no opportunities, but get her in your grain. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Jane Jones by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Ilia Tivin at tivin.info. Jane Jones keeps talking to me all the time and says, you must make it a rule to study your lessons and work hard and learn, and never be absent from school. Remember the story of Eliyahu Burritt and how he clomb up to the top, got all the knowledge that he ever had down in the blacksmith shop? Jane Jones, she honestly said it was so. Maybe he did. I don't know. Of course, what's keeping me away from the top is not never having no blacksmith shop. She said that Ben Franklin was awfully poor, but full of ambition and brains, and studied philosophy all of his whole life. And see what he got for his pains. He brought electricity out from the sky with a kite and a bottle and key, and we're owning him more than anyone else for all the bright lights that we see. Jane Jones, she honestly said it was so. Maybe he did. I don't know. Of course, what aller's been hindering me is not having any kite, lightning, or key. Jane Jones said Abe Lincoln had no books at all, and used to split rails when a boy. And General Grant was a tamer by trade, and lived way out in Illinois. So when the Great War in the South first broke out, he stood out on the side of the right. And when Lincoln called him to take charge of things, he won nearly every blamed fight. Jane Jones, she honestly said it was so. Maybe he did, I don't know. Still, I ain't to blame, not by a big sight, for I ain't never had any battles to fight. She said that Columbus was out at the knees when he first thought up his big scheme, and told all the Spaniards and Italians too, and all of them said 'twas a dream. But Queen Isabella just listened to him and pawned all of her jewels of worth, and brought him to Santa Maria and said, go hunt up the rest of the earth. Jane Jones, she honestly said it was so. Maybe he did, I don't know. Of course, that may be, but then you must allow they ain't no land to discover just now. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Elopement by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Katherine Rivera. I'm out at the house of my Mary, Mary so young and so fair, but her father and mother and sister and brother and all of the family are there. I'm now on the sofa with Mary, Mary with bright golden hair, but her father and mother and sister and brother and all of the family are there. I'm way up the river with Mary, picnicking in the cool air, but her father and mother and sister and brother and all of the family are there. I'm in the surf bathing with Mary. Her form is beyond compare, but her father and mother and sister and brother and all of the family are there. I'm down at the parson's with Mary. It's rather a private affair, but her father and mother and sister and brother, well, none of the family is there. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Her Folks in Hiz'n by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. He married her 'cause she had money and some property left from her husband's income. But both of the families was awfully stirred, and said the worst things that the town ever heard. And her folks in Hiz'n, or Hiz'n and her'n, never spoke to each other, from what I can learn. His folks begun it, and just said that she was the worst acting thing they ever did see, and ought to be ashamed for bein' so bold, 'cause her husband, he hadn't had time to get cold. And her folks and Hiz'n and her'n never spoke to each other, from what I can learn. Her folks, they all set up that he was no good, and if 'twasn't for her, well, he'd have to saw wood. Then all of her kin, every blasted relation, said she'd lowered herself in their estimation, so her folks and Hiz'n and her'n never spoke to each other, from what I can learn. The sisters, they told, this is 'tween you and I, that they thought that she wanted her husband to die. And they whispered around, don't you lisp a word, the awfulest things that a soul ever heard. So her folks and Hiz'n and her'n never spoke to each other, from what I can learn. They said that a travelin' man a drummer who stopped at the hotel a long time last summer, that no, it wasn't that now, let me see, that she, something like that seems to me, well, her folks and Hiz'n and her'n never spoke to each other, from what I can learn. I hear that the families keep up the old fight, a-roasting each other from mornin' till night. But the young married couple, they moved to the city, where gossip don't go. But I think it's a pity that her folks and Hiz'n and her'n never speak to each other, from what I can learn. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Yaller Jacket's Nest by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Scotty Smith. If I could only wander back to boyhood just one day, so'st I could have my choice again of games we used to play, I'd let the kites and marbles go and say, "Come on, boys, let's all go out a-huntin' for the Yaller Jacket's nest." Just to lay up in the shadow of the fence once again, of the old vacant lot that the cows pastured in, where the dandelions were bloomin', and there take a rest, while you listen to the music round the Yaller Jacket's nest. There was one that allers went along and romped with us and raced, with her sunbonnet a-hangin' back and curls down to her waist, in the checkered little frock she wore of gingham. What a pest she was to us when huntin' for the Yaller Jacket's nest. It's the prime of the blossoms that's a-hangin' from the trees, and the music of the buzzin' that brings lonesome memories. For it seems as if I heard her say, "You better look out, lest they all swarm out and sting you from the Yaller Jacket's nest." Sometimes I think I hear her voice and see her eyes of blue, that borried all their color from the sky that peeks at you between the clouds in summer after rain has fell and blessed the flowers and opening blossoms round the Yaller Jacket's nest. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
How Hank Died by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Mother, the shadows are gatherin' in, shadows of sunshine and shadows of sin, shadows of sorrow and shadows of gloom, all of 'em gatherin' now in my room. See over there near the mantelpiece wall is the darkest shadow. What's that? A call? Oh, let in the light, keep that shadow away, the one with the sickle that cuts today. And far over there in the sunland's west, I'll work in the pasture after I rest. Oh, to get out of this valley of sin, up in the cool of the hillside again. Where are the boys? All away? Where's Melissa? Who's holding my hand? And whose arm is this? Oh, here comes the shadow that beckons. What pain! It must not come near me. Hear that? That rain on the windows? See, down by the footboard where the curtain moves, a shadow is there. Comin' on tiptoe, it's after the light. Oh, don't give it welcome, that shadow of night. Don't leave me waitin' here now in the dark. The shadows are entering. What, music? Hark! Can that be the soft winds of summer that send their sighs o'er the fields for the loss of a friend? So cold! I'm getting so cold, so cold. Oh, why are the shadows so bold, so bold? Here comes the grim shadow, the shadow of death, the cavern-eyed shadow that asks for my breath. Goodbye, said the toiler, goodbye, everyone. Then somebody whispered, the reaper is done. His head fell back, and down by his side his white hand dropped. That's how Hank died. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
How Often by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. How often. They stood on the bridge at midnight in a park not far from town. They stood on the bridge at midnight because they didn't sit down. The moon rose o'er the city behind the dark church spire. The moon rose o'er the city and kept on rising higher. How often, oh, how often, they whispered words so soft. How often, oh, how often, oh, how oft. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Benton Harbor, Mich by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Sometimes I ain't a thing to do, and so just for the nonce, I think of things I didn't see out on Midway, Plaisance. Although they claimed that every tribe and nation, seems to me, was represented, yet there's some I simply didn't see. I went all through the Cairo street and saw the Luxor Great. I saw the South Sea Islanders and them from Congo State. I saw the Patagonians, but darn it all, my wish was more to see them funny folks from Benton Harbor, Mich. I took in all the buildin's that was prominent on the grounds, got in with a Colombian guard, and we just went the rounds. I says to him, I'm here this week to take the whole thing in. I might not get a chance to go against the thing again. Outside of horticulture and some of the smaller fruits, I want to see them wolverines that's still a-wearin' boots. So don't show me no minin' or animals or fish. I'd rather see them curious from Benton Harbor, Mich. What'd I care for foreign folks that come from pagan lands? I've heerd and read enough of Peg and heerd the tom-tom bands. I've seen enough of Egypt and Algiers and ancient Rome, and now I'm just a-spilin' for somethin' right round home. My gosh all Friday, take your Turks and all your foreign kit. I want to see them wolverines, and I ain't seen 'em yet. Old Michigan I'm after. Seems as if I'd heard the swish of breakers like I used to in Benton Harbor, Mich. So comin' out from there, I says, we'll take another route. Course you may know your business, but I know what I'm about. I'm on a hunt for friends just now, not Japs or Javanese, or sore-eyed Eskimo, or coons, or biased-eyed Chinese. I've heard enough of hot, 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 got frightened at the roar round Hagenbeck's, and shook hands with the Sultan of Johor, until I'm simply tired out, and now my only wish is just to see them old-time folks from Benton Harbor, Mich. I walked till I got dusty and thought I'd like to wash, when lookin' up I saw a tower. 'Twas Michigan, by gosh. Come on, I says, I'll show you now some folks you never saw. Human beings from Muskegon, Dowagiac, and Saginaw. Them folks that raises celery way out in Kalamazoo, Cassopolis, and Globeville, and Ypsilanti, too. St. Joe and Berrien Center. I guess I got my wish. I jined the Jays, and we went back to Benton Harbor, Mich. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Asphodel by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. Asphodel. Carest thou not for me, lone asphodel? O flower, shall all the summer days long gone roll into space remembered not? What spell, nay, more, what dream, what fantasy is this? E'en one small hour to gaze and love, 'tis bliss like Gyges knew behind the chamber door in days of old, those mellow days of yore. Ah, no, sweet flower, say not farewell, I pray, but let thine odor loiter yet awhile, and linger thou beside my lonely way, spreading thy perfume. And each tender leaf, sparkling with dew, like tears in eyes of grief, eager am I to pluck thee from thy stem, to have thee near, and in thy fragrance dwell, trusting thee ever, fairy asphodel. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Flowers' Ball by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Katherine Rivera. There is an olden story, 'tis a legend so I'm told, how the florets gave a banquet in the ivied days of old, how the posies gave a party once that wound up with a ball, how they held it in a valley down in flowery Kingdom Hall. The flowers of every clime were there, of high and low degree, all with their petals polished in sweet aromatic glee. They met down in this woodland, in the soft and ambient air, each in its lolling loveliness exhaled a perfume rare. An orchestra of bluebells sat upon a mossy knoll, and pealed forth gentle music that quite captured every soul. The holly hawked a pistol just to buy a suit of clothes, and danced with all the florets, but the modest blushing rose. The morning glory shining seemed reflecting all the glow of dawn, and took a partner, it was young Miss Mistletoe. Miss Maggie Nolia from the south danced with Forget-me-not. Sweet William took Miss Pink in tow, and danced a slow gavotte. Thus everything went swimmingly, 'mongst perfume bells and bows, and every floweret revelled save the modest blushing rose. Miss Fuchsia sat around and told, for floral emulation, that she had actually refused to dance with a carnation. The coxcomb, quite a dandy there, began to pine and mope, until he had been introduced to young Miss Heliotrope. Sir Cactus took Miss Lily, and he swung her so about, she asked Sweet Pea to call a flower and put the cactus out. Miss Pansy took her Poppy, and she waltzed him down the line, till they ran against old Sunflower with Miss Honeysuckle Vine. The others at the party that went whirling through the mazy were Mrs. Rhododendron, Daffodil, and Little Daisy. Miss Petunia, Miss Verbena, Violet, and sweet Miss Dahlia came fashionably late arrayed in very rich regalia. Miss Begonia, sweet Miss Buttercup, Miss Lilac, and Miss Clover, young Dandelion came in late when all the feast was over. The only flower that sent regrets, and really couldn't come, who lived in the 400 was the vain chrysanthemum. One flowerlet at the table grew quite ill, we must regret, and every posy wondered too just what Miss Mignonette. Young Tulip chose Miss Orchid from the first and did not part with her until Miss Marigold fell with a bleeding heart. But Miss Rose sat pensively till every young bud passed her, just when to fill the last quadrille the little China asked her. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sun's Comin' Back by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Scotty Smith. Hush, chillin', hush, case the sun's done come back again a-shinin' on the old cypress tree. Hush, chillin', hush, it's shorely am a fact again, the sun's done come back again to me. Hush, chillin', hush, for the sun's done come back again, pushing yaller glory round in every spot it finds, dancing on the cradle, and old Chloe with the ladle, and coaxing out the blossoms on the honeysuckle vines. Hush, chillin', hush, case the soft winds come back again, bringing all the glory of the spring. My heart's just a throbbin', for off yonder is the robin, and the blackbird am a cluckin', and I know I hear them sing. Hush, chillin', hush, case the sun's done come back again, bringing back the fact again I's a gettin' mighty old. I often sit and ponder, and I wonder, how many times it's comin' back before I reach the fold. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The River St. Joe by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Where the bumblebee sips and the clover is red, and the zephyrs come laden with peach-blow perfume, where the thistledown pauses in search of the rose, and the myrtle and the woodbine and the wild ivy grows, where the catbird pipes up and it sounds most divine, oft there in the branches of some lonely pine. Oh, give me the spot that I once used to know, by the side of the placid old River St. Joe. How oft on its banks I have sunk in a dream, where the willows bent over me kissing the stream, my boat with its nose sort of resting on shore, while the cattails stood guarding a runaway oar. It appeared like to me that they sort of had some way of knowing that I would soon get overcome. With the meadowlark singing just over the spot, I didn't care whether I floated or not, just resting out there for an hour or so, on the banks of the tranquil old River St. Joe, where the tall grasses nod at the close of the day, and the sycamore's shadow is slanting away, where the whippoorwill chants from a far distant limb, just as if the whole business was all made for him. Oh, it's now that my thoughts, living back on the wings of the rail and the die-away song that he sings, brings the tears to my eyes that drip off into rhyme, and I live once again in the old summer time, for my soul, it seems, caught in old time's undertow, and I'm floating away down the River St. Joe. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Robin and the Chicken by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. The Robin and the Chicken. A plump little robin flew down from a tree, to hunt for a worm which he happened to see. A frisky young chicken came scampering by, and gazed at the robin with wandering eye. Said the chick, "What a queer looking chicken is that! Its wings are so long, and its body so fat." While the robin remarked, loud enough to be heard, "Dear me, an exceedingly strange looking bird." "Can you sing?" Robin asked, and the chicken said no, but asked in his turn if the robin could crow. So the bird sought a tree, and the chicken a wall, and each thought the other knew nothing at all. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Baby Up at Battenberg's by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. Heard 'bout what's happened? Why, of course ye has. Baby up at Battenberg's. Hope it tain't the last. Doctor come at 8 o'clock. Rig all splashed with clay. Dad a trampling up the hall. Skirry, I'd say. Kind o' still round the house. Folks on tiptoe walk. Tell the door is open, and we hear a squawk. Doctor whispers suthin. Daddy hollers no. Doctor says 12-pounder. Daddy whoops out show. Daddy happier in a clam. Mother doing well. baby up at Battenberg's. Haven't ye heard tell? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. No Harm Done by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. Excuse me, Mr. Handy, for dropping you a line, but the fact is I've arrived in town and feeling mighty fine. I'm stopping at the Press Club, that's where I take my meals, and I must say I'm agitating some colossal deals. But what I want to ask you is, it seems of bothering me, is your hippodrome at Jackson Park. That's what I want to see. I'd lay all careful pains aside and wearing a steady grin, for I thought you could work some scheme of getting of me in. Course if you say there isn't, I'll say I's just in fun, and we'll just let it go at that. There's no harm done. Say, Handy, what I want is so's I can push my phiz all round the whole World's Fair ground and see everything there is. And when a Columbian guard comes up, unmannery and gruff, I'll flash the pass you gave me, Handy. That'll be enough. And passing on and mirroring my face in the lagoon, where that fellow is a-standing now, what's his name? Neptune? I want to see you, Major, yes, I want to grasp your fin, 'cause I know 'at you could work some scheme of getting of me in. 'Course if you say there isn't, I'll say I's just in fun, and we'll just let it go at that. There's no harm done. I want to see the state buildings and all there is there. I want to see that queer machine that turns out compressed air, the administration building and the agricultural hall. I tell you, Major, honestly, I want to see it all. I'll be alone most of the time and nothing's going to please me better than to get acquainted with those Javanese. Don't say a word, say, Handy, I must brace you again. Is there any possibility of getting of me in? Course if you say there isn't, I'll say I's just in fun, and we'll just let it go at that. There's no harm done. I've read the weekly papers, Major, out at Old St. Joe. There ain't been nothing in 'em 'at the country folks don't know. Some wants to see machinery, some paintings and some fish. Some want to hear the music too, but I tell you my wish is just to see them foreign girls from Spain and sunny France, and Abdul something, what's his name, that's got them girls that dance out there in Midway Plaisance, and the Sultan and his kin. Oh, Handy, you must fix some scheme of getting of me in. Course, if you say there isn't, I'll say I's just in fun, and we'll just let it go at that. There's no harm done. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Fates by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. Fortune came to a youth one day and dressed him up in his best, while society smiled and caressed him. Along came Toil with a hammer and saw to test him, and all three pressed him. Manhood came, as it usually does, to beard him. Fortune stole in and sat by his side, but feared him. Ambition came with wonderful schemes and steered him, but all three queered him. Wisdom came and knocked at his door, he spurned him. Frivolity came on bicycle wheels and turned him. Remorse at last came up and stung him, and burned him, and all three churned him. Poverty opened his door and found him, and sought him. Paralysis, crouched in a corner, had finally caught him. Idleness claimed the prize because she taught him, but all three got him. Old Charon rode up in Thames' canoe and ferried him over the creek, when an undertaker hurried him, dropped sand on his box, while a parson talked him and worried him, but the whole crowd buried him. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Paraphrase by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. The master of the manor house each morn, upon his shining steed through arbored gates, rides forth and out upon the dusty road, to yon small hamlet smiling on the hill. At eve rides back with swaying form. He meets the faithful footman, and, his charger placed, he wends his way into the mansion hall, while I, down here in meadowlands all day, I only stack the hay. The opulent lord, when mellow days are come, at the high note of the red-combed chanticleer, with horse and hound and merry crowd now bent upon the chase, swift through fox-scented roads, stopping, perchance, at many a wayside inn, the music of the jingling glass is his, while I, down here in perfumed clover fields, hear but the music of the lark and jay. I only stack the hay. Lone is the mansion on the sunlit hill, save for the daughter of the chivalric lord, who comes now, finger-kissed by high-topped sheaves, pausing the while, half startled by the quail, to where the haycocks dot the sallow fields, comes in the roseate flush of maidenhood, comes with a truant smile upon her lips, and romping up to me, exclaiming, "Say!" But I only stack the hay. Then spake she soft as runs a summer brook, or novel of some scribe of amorous mind, how far the huntsman must be on the road, because the sun comes through my window blind. Within, strange creakings about the halls, without, the scurrying leaves. So lonely am I now, I've wandered here to ask whate'er betide. Wouldst cease thy work? Pray, must you toil today? Well, yes, I say. I have to stack the hay. Ah, sir, she then replied, a banquet spread but yesternight for me, with many guests and suitors gathered round the festal board, sought ardently my hand, and one forth brought a golden cup in memory of my birth. Yea, each in quest of all these lands. Kind sir, how now? Wouldst thou not drink from out my cup? Prithee, come solace me. Live while you live for aye. I can't, I say. I have to stack the hay. The days roll on, and now a blasé youth rides by the manor house, a reaper he in wisdom's fields. No importuning maid bade him alight. She beckons. Quick he opes the gate, and, hastening to the banquet halls, he drinks to her, and pledging endless love, they fly to distant parish. Now the hills and vales and lands that roll away are his, while I, down here in meadowlands all day, I only stack the hay. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. If I Can Be by Her by Benjamin King. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. I don't care how the robin sings, or how the rooster flaps his wings, or whether it shines, or whether it pours. or how high up the eagle soars, if I can be by her. I don't care if the people say that I'm weak-minded every way, and never had no common sense. I'd climb the highest picket fence if I could be by her. If I can be by her, I'll swim the rest of life through thick and thin. I'll throw my overcoat away and stand out on the coldest day if I can be by her. You see, she weighs an awful pile, but I don't care. She's just my style. And any fool could plainly see she'd look well by the side of me if I could be by her. I braced right up and had the sand to ask her father for her hand. He said, "What prospects have you got?" I said, "I guess I've got a lot, if I can be by her. It's all arranged for Christmas Day, for then we're going to run away. And then something that couldn't be at all before will then, you see, because I'll be by her." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Toboggan by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. Down from the hills and over the snow, swift as a mentor's flash we go. Toboggan, toboggan, toboggan. Down from the hills with our senses lost, jealous of cheeks that are kissed by the frost. Toboggan, toboggan, toboggan. With snow piled high on house top and hill, o'er frozen rivulet, river and rill, clad in a jacket of sealskin fur, down from the hills I'm sliding with her. Toboggan, toboggan, toboggan. Down from the hills, what an awful speed, as if on the back of a frightening steed. Toboggan, toboggan, toboggan. Down from the hills at the rise of the moon, merrily singing the toboggan tune. Toboggan, toboggan, toboggan. Down from the hills like an arrow we fly, or a comet that whizzes along through the sky. Down from the hills, oh, isn't it grand, clasping your best winter girl by the hand. Toboggan, toboggan, toboggan. Down from the hills, and we hear the chime of bells that are ringing out old Father Time. Both from the hills we are riding away, nearing the life with its endless day. Toboggan, toboggan, toboggan. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Bugle on the Hill by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Scotty Smith. I don't like the noise of the marching of the boys, and I allow don't s'pose I ever will. Ere the tramping of the feet to the drum's wild beat, ere the sound of the bugle on the hill. It minds me of the day when Gabe marched away, and old missus stood beside the cabin door. Something whispered in my ear about my little volunteer, and said he never will come back no more. I remember now the day just how he marched away, with the bright sun air climbing up the sky, marched out and down the street to the drum's wild beat, then they fotched him home to die. Oh, the sad and mournful way poor old missus kneeled to pray, when Gabe said, "It's getting mighty still, But I rise and join the boys when I hear the cannon's noise or the blowing of the bugle on the hill. It 'pears as if I seen the old plantation green, and sometimes I surely think I hear the regiment pass by, and 'low I hear the cry and the moan of my little volunteer. And I see the mournful way poor old missus kneel to pray, and sometimes when all round is still, I can hear the tread of the feet to the drum's wild beat and the blowing of the bugle on the hill. Dar's a spot mighty dear to this old darky here, where the sunlight is peeping through the palms, with his hands pon his breast. Dar my soldiers gone to rest, jest peacefully or sleeping in the calms, and the drum's wild beat or the tread of marching feet no more can't disturb him now, till the Lord gives command. Then I know he'll rise and stand at the sound of the bugle on the hill. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Old St. Joe by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. Of all the towns that jest suits me, from Stephenville to Manistee, there's one old place I can't forget. It ain't a great ways off, and yit from here it's 60 miles or so, in a bee-line. That's Old St. Joe. I don't pretend to write, and ain't one of them chaps to paint, for I tell of scenes to lie stretched out before a feller's eye. When the sun was hanging low, I'd paint it right from Old St. Joe. I've seen folks gather thar in crowds, just for to watch the golden clouds, changing shapes and sort and winding into figures, never minding that old lake spread out below, reflecting at Old St. Joe. Underneath them cedar trees is where I used to take my ease. Birds a singing all alone the hedge, and each one had a song, and sung its best to let you know they just got back to Old St. Joe. There ain't no purtier sight to me, that is, 'cording to my ID, than just to watch the gulls at fly round that old pier and hear 'em cry, and circle round. It 'pears they know fishing's good at Old St. Joe. 'Course the people over there, they don't notice 'em or care. What they're worryin' 'bout is frost, and whether strawberries is lost. Yet they 'pear to take things slow, just the same as Old St. Joe. 'Cept in rumour 'tis their health is middling good, and as for wealth, they got that and lots o' land. 'Course the soil is mixed with sand, but that's what makes the berries grow over there in Old St. Joe. Take it generally as a rule, a feller likes it where it's cool, where he can sleep and drink in air that comes perfume from orchards where the peach trees just begin to blow. Then where's a place like Old St. Joe? Such cool breeze blowing back keeps the skeeters making tack, and the flies they mostly stay up round Pipestone Creek, they say. Tell you what, one thing I know, there ain't no flies on Old St. Joe. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Tramp by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. He came from where he started, and was going where he went. He hadn't had a smell of food, not even had a scent. He never even muttered once, till he began to talk, and when he left the kitchen door, he took the garden walk. He said, "There's no one with me, because I am alone. I might have scintillated once, My clothes have always shown. I got here 'fore the other ones, because I started first. The reason I look shabby is because I'm dressed the worst." Then I asked him where he came from. This was just before we parted. He muttered indistinctly, "Oh, I come from where I started." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Chautauquan Maid by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. She had studied every ology: ichthyology, zoology, philology, geology, conchology, and more. Knew the bones of every mammal, from the mouse up to the camel, and the mollusks and crustaceans that crept on every shore. To think her up on history was not at all a mystery. She could name you any ruler from Old England to Sumatra. It would certainly amaze ya what she said about Aspasia and the little unsophisticated maiden Cleopatra. She had studied Greek and Latin, Hebrew, Sanskrit. Please put that in. Read Xenophon and Horace, Ovid, Virgil, and the rest. She didn't say I'll learn ya, but teach you that Calphurnia sewed 57 buttonholes in Julius Caesar's vest. She loved to pull the petals from a flower, the baser metals. She doted on their study, and for nuggets she would bone ya. She loved the dromedary, and the docile cassowary, and the feathers of the emu she had stuck in her chiffonia. She had studied evolution, and arrived at the solution, how long our first appendage was. Of course I didn't ask her, but she said that she'd resolved from what she knew that I evolved from a carrot-haired chimpanzee she had seen in Madagascar. She could scan iambic meter, and she knew each Roman praetor, and surprised me when she told me the way the empire came to fall. The Huns sneaked in the forum, and the Romans tried to floor 'em, but they got themselves in trouble, and of course got whipped by Gaul. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. I'm a Blue Jay by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. I'm a blue jay, and never mind if my toe does stick out behind. When I catch on a limb, I'm there for keeps. Lest I let go, of course I must eat. Sometimes you know I have to just let go of that hind toe. I'm a dead sure thing in spring. As soon's the weather's kinda warm, you'll notice me on a fence. I feel immense in my blue suit. The woods can catch my chirp. You hear my toot. From then out, if you don't shoot at my blue suit. I put ripe cherries in my face, same place I wedge all the bugs. And don't you ever think 'at I'm no good and sponge my way, do I? I guess I'll fool ya. I eat ya darn secular. I guess I work my way if I'm a jay. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Rastus King by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Katherine Rivera. As you happen just to mention old-time friends that sort of bring memories back, I'd like to ask, what's become of Rastus King? Did he go out west prospectin', far on California's rim? Did he settle with the Injuns, or did the Injuns settle him? What a great big-hearted feller Rastus was, and how he'd sing! Sometimes tears'll start to rollin' when I think o' Rastus King. Where is he, and what's come o' him? Is he toilin' hard for bread? Is he prosperous and wealthy? Is he livin' still, or dead? How my heart recalls the mornin' that I met him splittin' wood, payin' for his school tuition, earnin' thus a livelihood. Allers boarded at the neighbors, turned his hand at anything. Faithful, honest, well, the farmers simply swore by Rastus King. Find him down to meetin' Sundays, sittin' in the deacon's pew, Talk about your knowledge. He had read the Bible through and through. When the choir would join together and with the congregation sing, way above all the other voices you could hear him, Rastus King. Did you ever come to meet him? Do you think he's living here? Say, he ain't much older'n I am. Reckon now he's 60 year? Last I heard he's doing splendid. Rich, fast horses, everything. Just like him, a regular schemer. Oh, I knew him, Rastus King. Then the hackman I'd been asking all these questions thus did say, Rastus living pretty quiet. Don't go out at all, they say. Don't go out at all. Why, stranger? What's the matter? Did he fail? Well, said he, nothing's the matter, Stephen. Only he is in jail. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
That Valentine by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. That Valentine. Once I remember years ago I sent a tender Valentine. I know it caused a deal of woe. Once I remember years ago her father's boots were large, you know. I do regret the hasty line. Once I remember years ago I sent a tender Valentine. I know I never can forget I sent the tender Valentine. Somehow or other I regret, but how I never can forget. But then I know I met her father. Oh, what grief was mine. I know I shall never forget I sent a tender Valentine. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Good Ship by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. I's been watchin' long for the good ship the Lord sent to me, and it 'pears that hit's had a long voyage, crossin' life's troublesome sea. I 'spected it long in the mornin', when nary a sail was in sight, and I's looked for it long about noonday, and watched for it way in the night, till I cast my eye over the boundless old ocean, and what did I see? Off there in the hush of the distance, the good ship a comin' to me. So I laid my head down on my pillow, forgettin' life's worry and sin, and when I woke in the mornin', my good ship had done got in. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Casual Observation by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Dar's nothing hyar but vanity, and riches and insanity. The dollar seems to be the people's god. Dar's a heap too many scariots, a ridin' round in chariots, while the poor man am a carryin' the hod. Dar's too much haste and hurryin', and too much wealth at buryin', and dis hyar ting am gittin' worse and worse. Hit takes all ob de rakin's, de scrimpin's and de scrapin's, to liquidate de spenses ob de hearse. Dar's heaps ob care and worry, everybody's in a hurry, and de few am growin' richer ebry day. But the most of us must shovel for the children in the hovel, and silently await the judgment day. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Like the New Friends Best by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Don't talk to me o' old-time friends, but just give me the new. The old friends may be good enough, but somehow they won't do. I don't care for their old-time ways. Their questions, you'll allow, are soulless as a parrot's gab. Well, what you up to now? That's one thing I've agin 'em, 'cause that, with all the rest, like hintin' 'bout some old-time debt, I like my new friends best. I meet an old friend in the street, as oftentimes I do. Mechanically he stops to shake and say, "Well, how are you?" Then drawin' down his face as if his cheeks was filled with lead, he says, I s'pose you've heard the news. No, Eli Stubbs is dead. And 'fore he died he asked for you, seemed sorry you was gone, and said at what he'd let you have he hoped would help you on. Now that's why I don't like 'em much, you prob'ly might have guessed. I ain't got much agin 'em, but I like the new friends best. Old friends are most too homelike now. They know your age and when you got expelled from school and lots of other things, and then they 'member when you shivereed the town and broke the lights out of the school and then run away and played hunt coal out nights. They 'member when you played around your dear old mommy's knee. It's them can tell the very date that you got on a spree. I don't like to forget 'em, yet if put right to the test of hankerin' right now for 'em, I like the new friends best. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Negro's Song of Home by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. 'Tain't very many people what listen to a nigger, and 'low dey's any sense in what he say. But I's gwine to give t' 'sperience of my feelin's, and I figure dat dey's quite a smart of people thinks my way. When a man begins a shoutin' 'bout de good tings dat he's missin', kickin' case dey ain't a fortune in his job, let him go home to his kitchen and set down a while and listen to de singin' of de kettle on de hob. I've hard the strains of "Home, Sweet Home" when Patty was a singin', and de audience was a spillin' of der tears, but I didn't mind the singin', for a different tune kept ringin' with its haunty kin of music in my ears, and I recognized de melody so powerful bewitchin' dat made my heart like 60 for to throb, and I 'mediate felt a hankerin' for my cozy little kitchen and de singin' of de kettle on de hob. De rich man can inhabitate a place if he wishes, with brick or brack and picters on the wall, and can lay on velvet sofers and eat off'n golden dishes, but I wouldn't swap my kitchen for his all, for hit wouldn't be like home ter me, but 'ceppin' I could listen, a puffin' at de 'baccy in my cob, while de good Lord seem a speakin' of a homelike kin of blessin', through de singin' of de kettle on de hob. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sposen by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. Sposen. What if the new San Francisco should sail to Chilean waters away, with the Boston and Yorkton afar in the east, and the Lancaster off in Bombay? In the big Philadelphia, s'posen she was a loadin' with tea in Japan, with the Concord and Bennington flyin' so gay, their colors around Hindostan. And s'posen the Charleston was in Bering Sea, with the Newark and Pamlico Sound, and the Mayan Tonoma's big bilers should bust, and the Baltimore run hard aground, then s'posen we got off in a fight right away with Chile or even Peru, and England should work the shell game on New York, say, what in the deuce would we do? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Little Rasmus by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Scotty Smith. The great good spirit come down from above and took little Rasmus away. Took my little Rasmus that played peep with me and rode out to Branberry Cross on my knee. Took poor little Rasmus away. Took my little Rasmus that played round the door and danced at the sunbeams that fell on the floor. Took my little Rasmus away. That's why I's downhearted and can't find relief, and old and bent over, I's loaded with grief, 'cause Rasmus has done gone away. The great good spirit comes down from the sky and hovers round every day, and it 'pears what yo's loving a little too much. The good spirit takes it away, 'cause he took little Rasmus away. But I know the good spirit must be mighty glad, but this darkest heart am just mournful and sad, since Rasmus has done gone away. And mostly at morn, when the whimpering breeze am loitering up in the sycamore trees, and at noon, when the sun dances round on the floor, this old darkest heart am just burdened with woe. And at night, twixt the wind and the pattering rain, my poor soul and body am restless with pain, since Rasmus has done gone away. But I know the good spirit comes down from the sky and hovers round every day, and it 'pears what you worship a little too much, the good spirit takes it away. 'Cause it took little Rasmus away, took poor little Rasmus away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Nobody Knows by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Nobody knows when the cold winds am blowin', where all the po' little chillun am a-goin'. Nobody knows when the night time's hoverin', how many little ones in destitute of coverin'. Nobody sees but the Lord done see 'em, and by the Lord'll tell humanity to free 'em. Nobody knows just how many am in rags, a-sleepin' in the hot blocks and round on the flags. Nobody sees all this poverty and woe, a-livin' on the emptyins and not a place to go. Nobody sees but the Lord done see 'em, and by the Lord'll tell humanity to free 'em. Nobody knows where this poverty all comes, how many po' folk am sleepin' in the slums. Nobody knows just how few am befriendin', but the good Lord knows there must soon be an endin'. Nobody sees but the Lord done see 'em, and by the Lord'll tell humanity to free 'em. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
She Does Not Hear by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. She does not hear the robin sing, nor feel the balmy breath of spring. She does not hear the pelting rain, beats tat tattoos on the window pane. She cannot see the autumn sky, nor hear the wild geese stringing by. And oh, how happy 'tis to know she never feels an earthly woe. I spoke to her, she would not speak. I kissed her, but cold was her cheek. I could not twine her wondrous hair. It was so wonderfully rare. Beside her stands a vase of flowers, a gilded clock that tells the hours, and even now the firelight falls on her and dances on the walls. She's living in a pure life, where there's no turmoil and no strife, no tongue can mock, no words embarrass. Her by gosh, she's plaster Paris. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Down the Mississippi by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Scotty Smith. Oh, the old plantation landing on the Mississippi shore 'pears as if I seed old Massa standing waiting dar once more. Back a ways toward the cabins almost hid by the lilac trees. Seems as if I heard po' missus singing old-time melodies. Hollyhocks and honeysuckles grow and bloom along the way, leading up dar to the cabin. But the old folks, where are they? And the winding path a-leading round the house, sometimes a spell seems as if I heard the windlass hoisting water from the well. Cap'n, can you stop the boat, sir? Stop the boat, case, well, I know I has done gone down this river 'bout as far as I care to go. You can land me soon's yo's ready. And I 'low I'll find my way back to that old shattered homestead where the sun shines through today. Massa Lincoln's gunboats left it jace that way in '63, 'cause they did some monstrous damage, but they set us darkies free. How I 'member po' old missus standing in yard the cabin door, and she say, "Yo gwine off, Rasmus? Ain't yo gwine come back no more?" Then I said, "Not exactly, missus. Somepin's done ketched on to me. Dar's a big stampede of darkies from Kaintuck and Tennessee. When the boat comes up the river whistling round the lower bow, I must leave the old plantation. Yas must say goodbye and go." Massa sort of bowed his head, sah, sitting in his old armchair. Missus, standing on the doorstep, caught the sunlight in her hair, and the breezes from the orchard 'peared to rustle through the trees, and I heard old Judy weeping, with the children round her knees. Tell yo, I was mighty sad, sah, but I sort of walked away. Years and years ago it was, sah, now I's wandering back today. 'Deed I's looking back and gazing mostly now each side the stream. Landmarks getting mighty natural. Clar hit 'pears jes like a dream. Dar's the place, that's hit, dar, Cap'n, dis here side the old horn bow. 'Low yo needn't stop the steamer, jes slack up a little, slow. Dar's the same old steps a climbing from the landing to the hill. Land ob goodness, if the bushes ain't growing thicker still. And the land of the forgotten, not a soul along the hill, not a voice to wake your gladness, everything do 'pear so still. Not an echo to a footstep, not an answer to a call, 'cept a mockingbird a-singing to the lonesomeness. That's all. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Mermaid by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Sweet mermaid of the incomparable eyes, surpassing glimpses of the April skies, thy form, ah, maid of the billowy deep, so rare and fair, but to possess I'd creep where the old octopus, deep in his briny haunts, comes forth to feed on anything he wants. Where mollusks crawl and cuttlefish entwine, there on crustaceans be content to dine. What ecstasies in some calcareous valley, but I had scales like thee, 'tis there we'd dally. There seek each peak, and let no other bliss be more enchanting than one salt sea kiss. There sit and bask in love, and sigh and feel each other's fins throb, or perhaps we'd steal to some lone cavern. I suppose you know a place where we could pluck the polyzoa, or in your boudoir by your mirror there I'd comb the seaweed from your auburn hair. Hut, hush! A red-haired mermaid sister comes this way, and lashing with her tail the wavelets into spray. Cometh she alone, or yonder watery pampas? Oh no, by Jove! There comes the white hippocampus. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Blackbird Fetched a Spring by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org. When the autumn leaves was twistin' and a-tryin' to get loose, and the apples in the cider press had done turned inter juice, when the blackbird got downhearted and made up his mind to go, it was den the time dis darky's heart was jest parboiled with woe. He was wid me in the furries in the summer fields of corn, and around a hookin' cherries, 'deed he was most every morn. And he helped me drive the horses clucked and clucked to make 'em go. That's why I 'low this darky's heart was just parboiled with woe. But he noticed that the yellerin' was a-comin' on the leaves, and the wind was sort o' whinin' too, just like a dog that griebes. And with nothin' in the cherry tree 'ceptin' winter's breath, one day in fall he 'lowed he'd go and jest skip out himself. I can't parsley blame him, 'case I'd went if I's him. 'Low he knew the winter weather would done freeze him to the limb, 'case he couldn't hardly navigate or couldn't cluck or sing, and so he said, "Goodbye, old man, I's comin' back in spring." This mornin', honey, 'deed I heerd, when everything was calm, a song that tetched my poor old heart like oil of gladdest balm. And who should I see settin' dar upon the old hay rack but my blackbird, sure my blackbird, and he said, "I's jest got back." Then he opened up his warble when the gentle wind so soft came dancin' from the hilltops dar on o'er the meadow croft. And down hyar by my cabin do' he sang and flashed his wing, and I praised the Lord of glory, 'case my blackbird fetched the spring. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain. Appearances by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org. The man that was the slickest tile don't draw the biggest check. The richest looking kind of sow don't yield the biggest peck. The horse that's highest in the pool don't always win the race, 'case sometimes he's a little off, and sometimes held full place. The bulldog with the ornery jaw ain't half so bad to meet as that dar yellow mongrel cur that's layin' for your meat. The moody cow that hists her leg and makes the milkmaid scream am jest the bossy cow that gives the richest kind of cream. The mule that have the wicked eye ain't half so bad, now mind. Look out for that old sleepy mule yo's walkin' round behind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Girl with the Jersey by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox by Jason in Panama. The Girl with the Jersey. You can sing of the maid who in faultless attire rides out in her curtained coupe. Her robes are exquisitely fashioned by Worth, at eve they are décollé. But I will sing of a maiden more fair, more innocent too, I opine. You can choose from society's crust if you will, but the girl with the jersey is mine. I know her by all that is good, kind, and true, this modest young maiden I name. I've walked with her, talked with her, danced with her too, and found that my heart was aflame. I've written her letters and small billet doux, revealing my love in each line. You can drink to your slim, satin-bodiced gazelle, but the girl with the jersey is mine. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
If My Wife Taught School by Benjamin King. read for LibriVox.org by Scotty Smith. If I had a wife that taught school, I would go to faraway countries. I'd fish from the Po in a gondola gay, and the splash of my oar would be heard by the natives around Singapore. If my wife taught school, I would, wouldn't you? Or wouldn't you? Anyway, what would you do? If I had a wife that taught school, I would get something fine in the shape of a furniture set. If I could pay my board and she could pay hern, there's a good many nice little things I could earn. If my wife taught school, I would, wouldn't you? Or wouldn't you? Anyway, what would you do? If my wife taught school, you can bet I would fly. Like a condor, I'd roost pretty middlin' high. I'd wear a silk tile and own hosses, I vow, and do lots of things I ain't doing now. If my wife taught school, I would, wouldn't you? Or wouldn't you? Anyway, what would you do? If my wife taught school like some women do, and I couldn't earn quite enough for us two, I'd go in the barnyard without any fuss. I would blow out my brains with a big blunderbuss. If my wife taught school, I would, wouldn't you? Or wouldn't you? Anyway, what would you do? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Old Spinning Wheel by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Do you remember the old spinning wheel that stood in the attic so many years ago? 'Twas covered o'er with dust, and our mother used to say 'twas an old family relic of our grandmother's day. How the spinning wheel would creak, as if it tried to speak, recalling tender memories of yore. How back in other years her eyes would fill with tears as she heard the hum upon the attic floor. Creak, creak, how it would creak when up in the attic we'd steal. But mother would say, "Boys, come away from grandmother's old spinning wheel." Do you remember the cobwebs that clung to the old oaken beams in the house we were born? And there from the rafters how memory brings back the sage and catnip and the dried apple strings. But no other joys compared when we were boys, when we played upon the dear old attic floor. To slowly turn the wheel, and the spindle and the reel would sing the dear old song it sang of yore. Creak, creak, how it would creak when up to the attic we'd steal. But mother would say, "Boys, come away from grandmother's old spinning wheel." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Owl and the Crow by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Alitheia. There was an old owl with eyes big and bright, who sung in a treetop one calm summer night. And the song that he sung I will now sing to you. To wit, to hoo, hoo, to wit, to hoo, hoo. He sang there all night till early next morn, when the crow came along that was looking for corn. The crow heard him singing, to wit, to hoo, hoo, and offered to sing a few notes that he knew. Just then the old owl in the treetop so high, with his classical shape and his big staring eye, requested the crow, in the deepest of scorn, to sing his old chestnut about stealing corn. "Caw, caw," said the crow, "well, my deeds are by light. I don't steal young chickens and sit up all night with dew on my feathers. When I break the laws in looking through cornfields, it's not without cause." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
De Clouds Am Gwinder Pass by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. De weather's mighty warm, and I guess it's gwine to storm. don't you see the swaller flyin' to the thatch? Black clouds a sweepin' by, just a skimmin' long the sky. There's a hustlin' in the huckleberry patch. There's Zeke and Hezekiah, Jane Ann and old Mariah, mighty scary when they see the lightnin' flash. How they hustle to the cabin where old Dinah am a blabbin', and the hoe cake am a bakin' in the ash. I told you, case I know, just what make it thunder so. That's the way God shake the rain out of the sky. And when you hear a sound like a shovin' tables round, you can see the pigs a runnin' to the sty. But the clouds am gwine to pass, and the sun shine out at last, while the pickaninnies play around the door. And through the window blinds, hid by morning glory vines, it's a gwine to flicker down upon the floor. God moves in many a way, so the old Bible say, for he counts the drops and all the grains of sand. And when the darkness falls pon these here cabin walls, hit 'em just the break of day in other lands. Then hurry, chillun, hustle while you may, case you know there's gwine to come a rainy day. But the gloomerin' will pass, and the sun shine out at last, and the darkies clouds absorb pass away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Summer's Afternoon by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. A Summer's Afternoon. 'Twas the close of a summer's day, the sound of the flail had died away. The sun was shedding a lingering gleam, and the tea kettle sung with its load of steam. The old clock ticked that hung on the wall, and struck at the same old cuckoo call. Then oft I could hear the mourningful bay of some watchdog far away. Then all Terronct piped in a jay, I just sot there with my senses gone, and the shadders of twilight a creepin' on, with the eerie hum of the small peewees, over there in the cedar trees, and the tinkle of bells in the marshy loam, told me the cows were coming home. And the sighing breeze came o'er the croft, but ah, comes a melody far more soft than the troubled notes of a Lydian lute, or the echoing strains of a fairy's flute. It bids me awaken and live and rejoice. 'Tis only the sound of Elvery's voice. Like an angel's whisper it comes to me, "Wake up, you fool, and come to tea." And it ain't in the spring er it ain't in the fall, but the close of a summer's day, that's all. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Fed the Fishes by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. One day a big excursion sailed afar out in the lake, all bent upon an outing with their sandwiches and cake. They sought the upper deck until the wind began to blow, when all engaged in different things, as everyone must know. While I fed the fishes, I fed the fishes, I fed the fishes, clear to old St. Joe. Good Captain Steins went up on deck to cast his weather eye. A woman sadly, badly prayed, "Oh, father, let me die." The cabin boys ran back and forth in staterooms all around, while voices shrieked, "Oh, mercy, oop! Oh, oop! Wish I were drowned!" But I fed the fishes, I gave them my best wishes, I fed the fishes, clear to old St. Joe. The pilot boldly held the wheel as through the waves we sped, while Purser Hancock ran abaft to hold some woman's head. One fellow sat him down and sang, "Goodbye, sweetheart, goodbye." Most everyone seemed occupied and sad to say. Then I fed the fishes, I fed the fishes, I fed the fishes, clear to old St. Joe. The shakora rose up in the air and then came down. Kersock! She wibble-wobbled in the sea, and once she struck a rock. The purser wore a pallid look, the woman all turned pale, while calmly I sat on deck and hung over the rail. For I fed the fishes, I gave them my best wishes, I fed the fishes clear to old St. Joe. Some tried to eat their sandwiches, some staggered, reeled, and laughed, while others went below to smile, and there the brown ale quaffed. The steward, Richard Waters, rushed about with whisky slings. Most everyone seemed occupied, and all did different things. But I fed the fishes, I fed the fishes, I fed the fishes, clear to old St. Joe. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Old Bossy Cow by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Po' old bossy cows down in the marsh where the cold winds am blowin'. Every now and den when the storm dies away, seems if I heard old bossy cow alone. So out by the cabin do I stand on the sweep and listen in the wind and dampness weather, and 'pears dat I hear old bossy cow again. And I know dat she say, "Come down in the meadow." Then down through the marshland, trampin' along, down through the gloom and the night rains a fallin', pickin' my way through the whisperin' reeds. "Cobos, Cobos, Cobos," a callin'. Then all of a sudden I come to a stop, and dar old bossy cow so gentle and so kind. And I coax up old Brindle, and I lead her by the horn. A wee little bossy cow comes follerin' on behind. A wee little bossy comes follerin' on behind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
That Cat by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Alitheia. The cat that comes to my window sill when the moon looks cold and the night is still. He comes in a frenzied state alone, with a tail that stands like a pine tree cone, and says, "I have finished my evening lark, and I think I can hear a hound dog bark. My whiskers are froze and stuck to my chin. I do wish you'd get up and let me in." That cat gets in. But if in the solitude of the night he doesn't appear to be feeling right, and rises and stretches and seeks the floor in some remote corner he would explore, and doesn't feel satisfied just because there's no good spot for to sharpen his claws, and meows and canters uneasy about, beyond the least shadow of any doubt, that cat gets out. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Frog's Thanksgiving by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. A Frog's Thanksgiving. I'm a frog with a shanty built over each eye, and a terrible push when I get on a hump. There's very few reptiles that's one half so spry, or can come up alongside of me on the jump. I'm a frog when the other birds take to the wing and wander away beneath balmier skies. I belong to the bloated batrachian ring, with a pneumatic palate for coaxing in flies. I'm a frog in the fall and a frog when the frost spreads over the land and the forests are gray. I'm a frog keepin' house at a very small cost in a dugout I've built out of cattails and clay. I'm a frog with a green overcoat and a voice that tickles the woods when the winter's no more. The old folks are glad and children rejoice. At the first tap of thunder I let out a roar. I'm a frog living down in the lush of the swale. You all know my voice when I'm looting for game. They call me a cannibal. What a sad tale. Well, maybe I am. I'm a frog just the same. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Lovey Loves by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. Lovey Loves. O love, let us love with a love that loves, loving on with a love forever. For a love that loves not the love it should love, I wot such a love will sever. But when two loves love this lovable love, love loves with a love that is best, and this love-loving, lovable, love-lasting love loves on in pure love's loveliness. O chide not the love when its lovey love loves with lovable, loving caresses, for one feels that the lovingest love can love, loves on in love's own lovelinesses. And love, when it does love in secret should love, 'tis there where love most is admired. But the two lovey loves that don't care where they love make the public most mightily tired. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hank Spink by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. Hank Spink, he said, Bob did, his brother, 'at he hit a man once for somepin or other, and he hit him, I got this from Bob, he simply went right out and give him his job, not Hank or Bob, but that feller 'at got hit, give us his job, see? He said, at the wind, the force of his blow, something like that, somehow, I don't know. Just now, what it was, I got it from Bob, 'at he got a good swat, not Hank or Bob, by a long shot, but the feller 'at got hit, got a good swat, see? He said he'd be blamed, 'at he didn't know how he came to strike such an all-fired blow, 'cept he guarded his right and threw the whole left of his weight and his science and his hit with his left. That lost him his job, not Hank or Bob, but the feller 'at got hit lost him his job, see? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Nile by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. The Nile. Not a single cloud bedims the sky, not a shadow falls below, but crocodiles creep, enfeebled by heat, through the lotus flowers that grow on the banks of the Nile, the placid Nile, the Nile of ages ago. So sluggish and wan it wanders on, where the citron and doom palms grow, where sphinxes stare through the lurid air at the sun in its molten glow. That's called the Nile, the tranquil Nile of ages and ages ago. On the purple sheen of its mirror heart her galleys bend and row, and Egypt's queen can still be seen, of olden lands the foe. Ah, this was the Nile, the ancient Nile, the Nile of the long ago. By the ashen banks of the ancient stream the acacia tree bends low, the ibis stands in this tomb of lands, as if in a pallor of woe, on the banks of the Nile, the sacred Nile, the Nile of ages ago. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Like the Old Mule Bess by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org. Some folks is sort of partial to the cattle round the farm. To make a pet of animals, they find it sort of balm. While others for the poultry stock. The goose and duck and hen is often made the most of by the wisest kind of man. Some like the brindle mooley cow, and 'low they have the sense to 'pear to know their massa when they see 'em at the fence. Some like the yearling colt. I've rarely seed men stand round and pet a hoss all day and rub his legs and fetlocks down. But giving all the animals the fairest kind of tests, I sorter like the old mule best. Some pet the mockingbird and robin redbreast and the linnet. Some like the gobbler, case he's struttin' round most every minute. Some like the peacock for his pride, and then some like the dog, whilst others for companionship have preference for the hog. Some farmers like the wether sheep, and some the little lamb, the billy goat and nanny goat, whilst others for the ram. Some like the little weak old calf when buntin' round his mother, and some folks they like one thing, and then some folks like another. But of all the stock I's raised with in the South, or East or West, I sorter like the old mule best. Dar's something meekly 'bout him. It's a fact he isn't bold, and the 'spression on his face is like the holy saints of old. When he sorta hissed his heels up like he's gwine to hit the sky, he's simply exercisin' just to pestivate a fly. And the why he 'pears so embarrassed is 'case nature had to fail and made him sorta long on ears and kinda short on tail. But then he's mo' than 'tached ter me, and I know I is his friend, and we done made up our minds to stick together till the end. So dar's no use of yo' axin' me, yo's done had time ter guess. I sorta like the old mule best. I used ter like Lucindy, but then Cindy couldn't stay, and little Sim I worship so, the angels coaxed away. And Lizanne and Brer Zeph dar up on the hill, I partially think I hear 'em too, when all round is still. Yo see I's mo' than lonesome here with nobody ter talk, er hide behind the lilac trees adown the garden walk. That when I look at that old mule, I feel so full of woe 'bout little Sim 'at rode on him, and 'tain't so long ago. Of all the friends that's left me now, I rarely must confess I sorta like the old mule best. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The River of Life by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org. I dreamt that I saw the river of life that flows to the Jasper Sea. The angels war wading to and fro, but none of 'em spoke to me. Some dipped their wings in the silvery tide, some war alone and some side by side. Nary a one that I knew could I see in that river of life, the river of life that flows to the Jasper Sea. The river was wide, that river of life, the bottom I plainly could see. The stones laying dar was whiter than snow, the sands looked like gold to me. But angels kept wading to and fro. Where did they come from? Where did they go? None of 'em sinners like me, I know, in that river of life, the river of life that flows to the Jasper Sea. The water was clear as the well by the gate, where Jesus the light first see. The softest of music from angel bands come over that river of golden sands, come over that river to me. And then I saw the clouds break away, revealing the pearly gates of day, the beautiful day that never shall cease, where all is joy and love and peace. And over them gates was written so clear, peace to all who enter here. The angels was gathering round the throne, the gates done closed, I was left alone, alone on the banks of a darkening stream. But when I awoke, I found 'twas a dream. I's gwine to ford that river of life and see the eternal day. I's gwine to hear them heavenly bands and feel the tech of old-time hands that long had passed away. Dar's crowns of glory for all I'm told, and lovely hearts with strings of gold. And I know if dar's peace beyond that sea, with rest for the weary, dar's rest for me beyond that river of life that flows to the Jasper Sea. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Cat o' Nine Tails by Benjamin King. read for LibriVox.org. The old cat-o'-nine-tails is comin' round again, and the way he worries children sometimes is a sin. He grabs 'em by the collar, and he yanks 'em by the clothes, and reaches for a tender place. Why, what do you suppose will happen if you're impudent and sit around and grin? Well, I'll have to call the cat-o'-nine-tails in. Have to call 'em in. Yes, have to call 'em in. In. Tails, cat-o'-nine, old. I'll have to call the old cat-o'-nine-tails in. Old cat-o'-nine-tails in. Are you sassy to your father? Are you fibbing to your mother? Are you quarreling with your sister and a pinching of your brother? Do you ring around the rosy till you have a dizzy feeling, and you think you're going round and walking on the ceiling? Well, you better stop your screeching and a-making such a din, or I'll have to call the old cat-o'-nine-tails in. Have to call 'em in. Yes, have to call 'em in. In. Tails, cat-o'-nine, old. I'll have to call the old cat-o'-nine-tails in. Old cat-o'-nine-tails in. Do you allers mind your manners when companies come, or do you get upstairs and yell and stomp around and drum? Do you show off at the table, too, and try to act up smart, and point your finger at the things and say, "Give me a tart"? If someone doesn't dress you down, I think it is a sin. So I'll have to call the old cat-o'-nine-tails in. Have to call 'em in. Yes, have to call 'em in. In. Tails, cat-o'-nine, old. Have to call the old cat-o'-nine-tails in. Old cat-o'-nine-tails in. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Hair Tonic Bottle by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. The Hair Tonic Bottle. How dear to my heart is the old village drugstore, when tired and thirsty it comes to my view. The wide-spreading sign that asks you to try it, Vim, Vaseline, Vermifuge, hop bitters too. The old rusty stove and the cuspidor by it. That little back room, oh, you've been there yourself and oft times have gone for the doctor's prescription, but tackled the bottle that stood on the shelf. The friendly old bottle, the plain labeled bottle, the hair tonic bottle that stood on the shelf. How oft have I seized it with hands that were glowing, and guzzled a while ere I set off for home. I owned the whole earth all that night, but next morning my head felt as big as the Capitol's dome. And then how I hurried away to receive it, the druggist would smile o'er his poisonous pelf, and laugh as he poured out his unlicensed bitters, and filled up the bottle that stood on the shelf. The unlicensed bottle, the plain labeled bottle, that hair tonic bottle that stood on the shelf. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Circus Turkey by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. The Circus Turkey. He's the worst I ever see, that old turkey up in the tree. I've been pestering him and punching him since morning. I never since I was born see the way he do stick on, and he appears to look down on me as if he's scorning. He doesn't seem to appear to have a bit of fear, 'cause I's wasted all my strength and breath upon him. And maybe he's in fun, but I'll scare him with this gun. I's bound to get her down some way, doggone him. I's throwed most all the sticks in the yard and all the bricks. If you was me, what under the sun would you do? He doesn't seem to change and appears to act so strange. I clear he must be pestering with a hoodoo. I tell ya, it's a fact. I nearly broke my back hoisting shoes and brick bats up there to 'em. 'Pon this Thanksgiving Day, I hate to shoot but say, I believe a gun's the only thing'll do 'em. I 'low I'll make him think he can't get me with the wink, and set up on that limb and be secure. Biff bang, I'll make him sing. My goodness, watch him swing. Why, he's a regular circus turkey sewer. I see the whole thing now. That Ramses boy, I 'low, has gone done tied his feet up there with strings. No wonder that he tried to come off. He was tired, and all he could do was flap his wings. Come here, your Ramses, quick, say. I's mind to use that stick, say. Come here from over there from where you stood. I 'low I oughta lay ya down on the ground and flay ya. I's tempted most to use a stick of wood. You can't go to meetin', and when it comes to eatin', your mother says you can't come to the table. I bet you'll sing a tune, 'cause all this afternoon we 'cided that we'll lock you in the stable. You can't have none of the white meat, and you can't have none of the brown meat, and you just hearin' what your poor old mother said? You can't have none of the stuffin' or the cranberry sauce or nothin', and so I say at 6 o'clock you go to bed. End of The Circus Turkey. This recording is in the public domain.
Sophie Jakubowski by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Scotty Smith. Little Sophie Jakubowski, handsome as a florist flower, dwelt alone with Gokstad-Fowski, Ivan Rurik Romanowski, in the palace of the tower. Of the ancient tower of Ivan dwelt she in the long ago, nearby where the frozen Volga sleeps beneath its weight of snow. Now, it seems old Gokstad-Fowski, Ivan Rurik Romanowski, had a passion for the maid, and was very much afraid that perhaps she might get frisky, fall in love with John Zabisky. So he locked her in the tower, oft for many a weary hour. He, the old decrepit sinner, kept her locked up, growing thinner. Many a week and month she stayed in that tower, and often laid down to rest upon the cold marble floor, so I am told by an old Slavonic story, that is gray and bald and hoary. 'Tis a legend that's so weird, soft winds gently comb its beard. Little Sophie Jakubowski was the fairest of the fair, eyes that seemed halfway confessing, yet would keep you coldly guessing, hair that in each wavy fold tales of witchery unrolled. Being that old Angelo traced in cloisters long ago, lips, those liquid lips whose dew is tinctured with the rose's hue, cheeks afire with the glow of maidenhood, a neck of snow, hoping, grieving, sighing, praying for her lover disobeying, when she dared old Gokstad-Fowski, Ivan Rurik Romanowski, even hoping to the end for her little Polish friend. Now, it might be said if any maid had lovers, she had many. Old traditions name a score, put perhaps a dozen more on the little maiden's list. For her charms, who could resist? She could bring them from Siberia, Hindustan, and far-off Syria, from the Deutscher Zeuter See to that rat-rice-fed Chinese. There was little Moses Kahn from the village of Kazan, Vladimir and Max Pulaski, Peter Ulrich and Hydrasky, Isaac Asimov Torik, one Jim Bogado, a Greek, and a soldier, Peter Hensky, of the noted Prebejensky, Kursov and Fedorovich, little Noah Count von Storich, Seisendorf and Jake Zabatsky, Romanov and Rufenratsky. This is but the half of them, Herr von Freitag Stobelpem, and a Jew that sent her Rhine wine, Moses Aaron, Eiffel Einstein. He from Hong Kong, Samwing Lee, Drinky Ali, Samey Tea, Izawisky and Chanimsky, Woronetsky and Chubimsky, and two nays a gentleman, Jan and Ole Peterson. She could bring them, I presume, from the far-off land of doom, each with one intent to woo her, ardent, doing homage to her, sending presents from Australia, nuggets from the Himalaya, mountains, rings, and souvenirs enough to last 100 years. Arrows almost every hour carried presents to the tower. Don't you think it quite a sin they had to shoot their presents in? Think of how a despot's power kept her locked up in a tower, she the fairest little maiden dwelling on this side of Aden. Wouldn't any lover plunge into the deepest Russian dungeon, or become a serf and work out his life at Nejikirk, to kidnap from yonder tower that sweet little Russian flower? So I would. So did frisky nihilist young John Zabitsky. Now, the father of Zabisky manufactured awful whiskey, but young John took more delight in making bombs and dynamite, and he entertained the Russians with a series of concussions, till they wanted him so bad that it made all Russia sad. Once I think he came not far from blowing up the only Tsar, but he had a most surprising way of hiding and disguising. Never man as yet had found him, never army could surround him. Probably he had a mascot, born a regular Russian tascot. John Zabisky seemed contented when he had them all fermented round the place near the gate. Cossack soldiers stood up straight, guarding with their guns and sabers one another from their neighbors. Over there one can't resist the thought to praise the nihilist. Every day and every hour you feel the despot's potent power. Every day you want to shoot some old potentate and scoot. So with John. One day he saw another way to break the law. Listen! John was discontented, and his smart brain soon invented, with saltpeter and corrosives, something awful in explosives. Then, with heart chock full, elated, little John sat down and waited for the somber curtain of the night to make him certain that he might not be discovered or his hellish plans uncovered, waited till a cloudy pall hung its mantle over all, and Stygian darkness reigning far hid each peeping telltale star that lately had begun to nod from Omsk to Nijni Novgorod. Then he stole up to that tower, just beneath his lady's bower. Fearlessly he placed enough of that paralyzing stuff in the chinks and the foundation of that tower to blast a nation. Then he sat him down and wrote 40 letters. Make a note. He wrote 40, understand, wrote them in a woman's hand. I love only you. Come tonight, sweet love. Adieu. Signing with a heart aflame, Sophie Jakubowski's name. One dark night when all was still on frosty turret, dome, and hill, 40 suitors came in season, knocked, and, I don't know the reason, walked right in the door. It swung open, then it closed and sprung. Every lover seemed to fare the same, for they were prisoners there. They were in beyond a doubt, with no chance of getting out. Now the risky John Zabisky had the Cossacks drunk on whiskey, and the guards with their long sabers rested sweetly from their labors. Sophie Jakubowski, frisky, looked down on her John Zabisky. John Zabisky gazed at Sophie, and he longed to gain the trophy. Sophie up there in the casement, throwing kisses towards the basement. John Zabisky at the basement, hurling kisses to the casement. But he has no time to lose, fixing up the deadly fuse. Now he hurls a line up till it reaches Sophie's windowsill. Scarcely had she made it fast when the maiden stood aghast, startled at what stood before her, John Zabisky, her adorer. Don't get anxious, I must own, John and Sophie were alone, and I know a Russian kiss is not such a hard-frozen bliss. 'Twas the first in years that they had thus embraced the time that way, so they occupied the present till the night had grown senescent. And they wondered oft how fared the lovers down below that shared the palace of old Gokstad Fauski Ivan Rurik Romanowski. Hark! cried Sophie. 'Tis the hour when Moscow's bell in yonder tower peals a knell, and we must fly, or else together we must die. Ah, look through yonder gate, I see that demon, and he comes to me, the wretch that locks and keeps me here from month to month and year to year. Up jumps the risky little frisky nihilist, young John Zabisky, a kiss upon her lips, his hand upon his breast as if to brand his vow. You say, he comes to me, you cry, he comes, to thee I swear by yonder moonlit snow he comes. Just watch and see him go. Then, with Sophie on his shoulder, never fear that he can't hold her, through the window, down the rope, the nihilist and maid elope. Not a moment do they lose, save to stop and light the fuse. Slowly on its path it crawls, toward the gray old castle walls, past the Cossacks with their sabers, still at rest from recent labors, and the noble bodyguard. They are snoring just as hard. A flash, a roar, and Moscow rumbles, and the tower of Ivan tumbles. Up sky high went Gokstad Fauski Ivan Rurik Romanowski, also little Moses Khan of the village of Kazan, Vladimir and Max Pulaski, Uncle Yurik and Hydrasky, Isaac Ozum of Tarik, one Jim Bogado, a Greek, and a soldier, Peter Hensky, of the noted Prebejensky, Kutusev and Fedorovich, little Noah Count von Stovich, Zeisendorf and Jake Zabatsky, Remenov and Rufanratsky. This is but the half of them. Herr von Freitag, Stobelpem, and a Jew that sent her Rhine wine, Moses, Aaron, Eiffel, Einstein. Drinky Ali Samey tea, he from Hong Kong, Sam Wing Lee. Isa Whiskey and Takanimsky, Woronetsky and Chubimsky, and two nays, a gentleman, Jan and O. Peterson. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sunrise by Benjamin King. LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The dim light to the southward is the beacon of the coast, but the white light to the leeward the mariner loves most. And whether 'tis the dim light or the white light to the lee, that great big hunk of daylight is light of lights for me. But what it is of all lights that fills my soul with glee is when that hunk of daylight climbs up out of the sea. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Woodticks by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. There's things out in the forest that's worser 'n an owl, that gets on naughty boys and girls, that allers wears a scowl. There's things out in the forest that's worser 'n a lion, that gets on wicked boys and girls, that's quarrelin' and a cryin'. There's things out in the forest, mind, and if you don't take care, the woodticks will be crawlin' through your hair. And they say as boys is naughty and their hearts is full of sin, they'll crawl out in the night time and get underneath your skin. And the doctor'll have to take a knife and cut 'em off just so. And if a bit of 'em is left, another one'll grow. And maybe you won't feel 'em too, or ever know they're there, but by and by they'll multiply and crawl up in your hair. The devil's darnin' needle, too, will come and sew your ear, and make a nest inside like that, and then you'll never hear. And the jiggerbugs gets on you, and the 1,000-legged worm'll make you writhe and twist and groan, and cry and yell and squirm. But the worst things that'll get you, if you lie or steal or swear, is the woodticks a-crawlin' through your hair. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Didn't We, Jim? By Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Didn't we, Jim? Yes, sir. We lived home till our mother died, and I'd go a-walkin' with Jim, 'cause he cried, till night-time had come, and we'd go up to bed, and both say the prayers that she taught us ter said. Didn't we, Jim? And Pa'd stay late, and we uster call, 'cause we thought we heard him downstairs in the hall. And when he come home once, he fell on the floor, and we runned and hid behind Ma's bedroom door. Didn't we, Jim? She told us, our Ma did, when she's sick in bed, and out of the Bible some verses read, to never touch wine, and some more I can't think, but the last words she said was never to drink. Didn't she, Jim? But our other Ma, what our Pa brought home there, she whipped little Jim 'cause he stood on a chair, and kissed our Ma's picture that hung on the wall, and struck me for not doin' nothin' at all. Didn't she, Jim? She said we never had no bringin' up, and stayed round the house and eat everything up, and said that we couldn't have no more to eat, and all that we's fit for was out in the street. Didn't she, Jim? We said we hated her, didn't we, Jim? But our Pa, well, we didn't say nothin' to him, but just took Ma's picture and both runned away. And that's what Jim's cryin' 'bout out here today. Didn't we? Ain't it, Jim? Mister, don't feel bad, 'cause Jim's cryin' too, for we're goin' to hunt and get somethin' ter do, 'cause our Ma 'at died said to work and to pray, and we'd all be together in glory some day. Didn't she, Jim? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Post Driver by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. The Post Driver. The lingering loon flies over the marsh, and the night bird nestles in dew. The river is cold, and the winds are harsh, but what is it that goes cuhchoo? What is it that goes ka-choo, ka-choo, oh, what is it that goes ka-choo? Then the rail comes up from his lushy bed and wings to the realms of blue. Wild lilies soak where the bullfrogs croak, but what is it that goes ka-choo? What is it that goes ka-choo, ka-choo? Oh, what is it that goes ka-choo? O'er the whispering reeds the rice hen speeds, and the meadow lark singing anew, and I know in the swale the song of the rail, but what is it that goes ka-choo? What is it that goes ka-choo, ka-choo? Oh, what is it that goes ka-choo? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Left the Old House Out by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. Left the old house out. Tween the gusts of the wind comes a winter and a sound, like a trampling of hoofs on the cold, cold ground. I suspicious of a storm, and there ain't no doubt, but somebody's gone and left the old house out. I 'member now the sheep come a running to the shed, and the old bossy cow was a standing in her bed, and the chickens on the roost. But what was I about when I done went to bed and left the old house out? Well, I mustn't lay here and had the cold winds blow. When the keyhole whistled, there's gone to come snow. I just saw to rise and wander right out, and cush myself a leaving the old house out. My goodness, what a night. Wonder what's that sound? That's the old house, just coming on the bound. I's ashamed of myself. Well, what was I about? To go to bed to rest, and leave the old house out. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Eclectic Fates by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. Eclectic Fates. I'm only just a little chap, and my mom says I'm frail. I got eclectic fits, and that's why I'm looking pale. Once I had a huge chill, and oh how I did shake, 'cause auntie wouldn't give me any jelly tarts and cake. Once when it was summer, once and nice and warm and me, and Jenny went in our backyard and climbed a cherry tree, and she ate all the cherries too and fed me all the pits, and Mama says that's just what gave me eclectic fits. When bad girls come to our house, they mustn't scare me too, and romp up quick around me like they's playing peekaboo. 'Cause Ma, she'll say right out to 'em, see here now children, quit. I guess you'll have to run right home, for Wadsworth has a fit. Sometimes I'll be strong and well and big like Uncle Dan, and he'll be little just like me when I'm a grown-up man. And then I won't be scaring people almost out their wits, 'cause I won't go around having eclectic fits. When you see me turning blue and when my hands gets cold, don't you get afraid of that, but just you get a hold of me and rub my hands and rub my neck and head till I come out, 'cause if you don't, I'm liable to get dead. I wouldn't care if I should die and go up there, would you? Where the sun is peeking around the clouds up where it's blue, 'cause there ain't no worry and there's lots of little bits of fellas and there's none of them got eclectic fits. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Keep Him a Baby by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. Keep him a baby. Keep him a baby as long as you can. Bless him, the dear, little, cute, cunning man. Keep him in dresses and apron and bib. Rock him to sleep in his own little crib. Keep him a baby enjoying his toys. Soon enough he will be one of the boys. Keep him a baby and keep him at home. Manhood will very soon cause him to roam. Oft times at night when he wakes for a frolic, don't get excited, it's only the colic. When he has reason your slumbers to mar, get up and walk with him just as you are. First it is Winslow, and then it is Squills. Then you will find one or two doctor's bills. Though he's a trouble at times, it is true, when he grows up he will take care of you. Keep him a baby still taking his nap. Don't you chastise him for any mishap. When he falls off of a sofa or chair, don't stop his crying by calling a bear. Keep him a baby and do as I say. Take him to ride in his carriage each day. Show him the bossy, the horse, and the bow wow. Soon you will hear him say moo to the cow. Keep him a baby, he'll soon be a boy. Then he'll forsake every plaything and toy. Keep him a baby, he'll soon be a man. Keep him a baby as long as you can. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Angelini by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. Angelini. Come right here, yo Angelini. Child, you just give me the blues. What you doing trying to try me, wearing out them brand new shoes? Yes, yo is. Deed yo is. Don't you dare talk back to me, 'cause I know you is. Where are you going to play this tennis? Who you playing this tennis with? Playing with that Irish Dennis? Well, for yo child, that yo's hid. Come right square up from there, behind that there bed. Now go comb your hair. Angelini, Angelini, don't you hear me calling you? Needn't think that you slipped by me, my gal, I's dead on to you. Come right square in from there, you can't play with them low white trash, now my gal see here. Where's your music education? Get to that piano there. Play that lovely extravaganza that you'll call the Maiden's Prayer. Land a living child to you. Wonder folks in this neighborhood think you're Irish too. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain.
The Earthquake by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The earthquake a-shakin' jes' a short time ago was Beelzebub pullin' out de clinkers down below. So you better drop yo' sinnin', 'cause old Satan he's a grinnin'. Bime-by de big saxophone am sho'ly gwine to blow, 'cause yo' laughin' now because it's mighty still. Bime-by she gwine to shake wid a powerful heavy chill, and de old bell in de tower 's gwine to fall down wid de power, and de millstone go dancin' round de bottom of de mill. Some day dar's gwine ter open de biggest kind of crack, and dis hyar coon's a hopin' dat de Lord won't haul yo' rope back. 'Specially Jasper Jones McClennan, yo's de one I's been tellin' 'bout, de use of bad profanity, and also plug ter back, or de debbil shake de furnace down agin. Yo' better ask de Lord to rid you ob yo' sin. 'Cause when Satan wants some fuel to warm up his brimstone gruel, he'll ope de furnace do', and de draft'll suck yo' in. Don't be loafin' now, and shootin' craps around. Yo' better be a tryin' on de white probation ground. 'Cause you know, all ob a sudden, mos' yo' coons I'll take to scuddin', and dose cushion feet, they'll never touch de ground. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Pessimist by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox by Jason in Panama. The Pessimist. Nothing to do but work. Nothing to eat but food. Nothing to wear but clothes to keep one from going nude. Nothing to breathe but air. Quick as a flash 'tis gone. Nothing to fall but off. Nowhere to stand but on. Nothing to comb but hair. Nowhere to sleep but in bed. Nothing to weep but tears. Nothing to bury but dead. Nothing to sing but songs. Ah well, alas, alack! Nowhere to go but out. Nowhere to come but back. Nothing to see but sights. Nothing to quench but thirst. Nothing to have but what we've got. Thus through life we are cursed. Nothing to strike but a gate, everything moves that goes. Nothing at all but common sense can ever withstand these woes. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
But Then, by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. John Oswald McGovern, he wanted to die and bring his career to an end. Of course, well, he didn't say nothing to me, but that's what he told every friend. So one afternoon he went down to the pier, and folks saw him acting most terribly queer. He prayed and he sung, put his hand up to cough, and everyone thought he was gonna jump off, but he didn't. He may jump tomorrow morning at 10, said he was going to try it again. But then, John Oswald, he said he was tired of the earth, of its turmoil and struggle and strife, and he made up his mind a long, long time ago he was just bound to take his own life. And the very next time at he started to shave, determined to die, he was going to be brave. So he stood up and flourished the knife in despair, and everyone thought that he'd kill himself there, but he didn't. He says at tomorrow morning at 10, he has a notion to try it again. But then he went and bought arsenic, bought Paris green, and cobalt and all kinds of stuff, and he took great delight in leaving it round. Of course that was done for a bluff. Then he rigged up his room with a horrible thing that would blow his head off by pulling a string. Folks heard the explosion, rushed up on his bed. John Oswald was lying. They whispered, "He's dead." But he wasn't. He riz up and said, couldn't say when, he'd finally decided to try it again. But then... End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Presque Isle by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Presque Isle. How well I remember the day that I spent on that far-away island where all is content, when sweet from the woodland midst bramble and brake the birds carolled on, it seemed just for our sake. Oh, where on this orb is a spot that we feel the rapture of loving as on the Presque Isle? I laved in her looks, and I bathed in her smiles, nor thought of the nook where the serpent beguiles. I watched the calm glow of her passionate cheek, as in maidenhood only those blushes can speak. How I ardently knelt at her feet to reveal the love that was born far away on Presque Isle. When the stars had come out in the clear northern skies, they but beamed on my soul, less bright than her eyes. And I turned in despair from the orbs up above to gaze in the eyes of an angel of love. Our lips met. Oh, why should we longer conceal our love on that rapturous, starlit Presque Isle? I'm still looking back on that island today, but my lips, they are mute. I have nothing to say, except that my soul I claim as my own, though my soft auburn hair is all scattered and strown. And after each cyclone, in silence I kneel, and pray for an earthquake to sink the Presque Isle. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Bugle by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. Bugle. Over the river in Bugle, the lovely angels in white robes stand. They beckon me there, I can hear the band. Over the river in Bugle. Over the river, what sights I see. Somebody stands there waiting for me. Stands on the shore of the Jasper Sea. A colony says, there's a rest for me. Over the river I soon must go. Where you waiting for all this woe? And when my journey is ended, I know that the good shepherd will open the door. Over the river my soul takes wing, the songs of Zion I hear 'em sing. When tuned to the harps, how our voices will ring, close round the throne of the heavenly King. Over the river they beckon to me, the river that flows to the Jasper Sea. Over the river y'all must know that the good shepherd will open the door. Then we'll shout glory and praise him and sing along up the golden streets, how it will ring. Close to the Massa forever we'll stand, over the river in Bugle land. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain.
The Blackbird and the Thrush by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. The Blackbird and the Thrush. "It's my idee," a blackbird said, as he sat in a mulberry bush, "It's my idee, it seems to me, I can warble as well as a thrush." "Let her go," said a carrion crow, as he swung on an old clothesline, "For I won't budge, but I'll act as judge, and the winner I'll ask to dine." In a minor key the thrush sang he, way up in an elm remote, and twice and thrice like paradise songs welled up from the warbler's throat. Then a rooster he, in his usual glee, flew up on the barnyard fence, and he crowed, then he said, "I'll be blowed if that isn't simply immense." Then the blackbird, well, he listened a spell and began an garrulous run, but he wasn't admired, for a farmer tired, well, he up and fired a gun. Then the black crow said, as he rested his head, "I want to go somewhere and die," and a young cockatoo said, "I do too," and a parrot said, "So do I." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Spring House by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. The Spring House. Down to the spring house, somewhere I long to wander, the old door creaking as it swings to and fro. Down to the spring house, standing over yonder in the long time ago. Down by the spring house, the lilacs am a bloomin', hollyhocks a noddin', and honeysuckles thick. Down by the spring house, I listen to the lowin', and reckon the old brindle cow am wadin' up the crick. Down by the spring house, once again I'm walkin', yellow cream pon the shelf, can't let it be. Down in the spring house, no use in talkin', cold greens and hog joes, good enough for me. Down to the spring house, missus comes a callin', old hounds a barkin', and massa gins to shout. Down in the spring house, what a caterwauling, just sorta waitin' for the nigger to come out. Down by the spring house, blackbirds eat the sherry, wasps suck the honeysuckle, clover feed the bee. Down in the spring house, nigger never sorry, down in the spring house and good enough for me. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain. Under Obligations by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. Under Obligations. I noticed that the weather's rather chillsome, more or less, and I noticed that the backlog sorta crackles low blast. Old Crimp is on the turnpike and the Frost is on the fence, and Santa Claus will soon be here, so children, have some sense. I seen him on old Massa's roof, 'twas just the other night, with a span of bulky reindeers, both on dapple gray and white. They were hitched to a monstrous-looking alligator sleigh, and filled with gifts for children, piled every which way. Have any of y'all children been a-sinnin', or assassin yourself prayers, or a-grinnin'? You better read your Bible about old Moses and the laws, for yours under obligations to old Santa Claus. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain.
Cleopatra and Charmian by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. Cleopatra and Charmian. I'm dying, yes, Charmian, dying. I'm dying to stroll out a while. This eve we'll go down to the Cydnus and scare up some old crocodile. I swear by the priests of Serapis, this Egypt just gives me the blues. It seems that my only companions are crocodiles, storks, and emus. I'm so melancholy and stupid, sweet maid, should I drop in a doze, I pray you loosen my sandals, and pull off these long silken hose. Bring me the asp in the lattice box, that Tony caught down in the Nile, pinch up his tail with a small carob stick, and then let him wiggle a while. Last night my pet lion Augustus was howling for something to eat. Why under the sun don't they feed him, that slave with the pigeon-toed feet? Today you must polish those idols, the bull-headed idols and more. Just see that those lubberly eunuchs don't spit on my porphyry floor. You're getting infernally lazy, and looking so peaked and white. See here, miss, does that jay from Memphis think you can sit up every night? I vow, I believe you're weak-minded, your brain seems to be in a whirl. Next week I'll go down to Miletus and look up a new hired girl. Go bring me my old Mother Hubbard, and also those Indian balms. Come, let us go down in the gardens, and bask neath those lovely doom palms. Bring also my pearl brooch and necklace, dear lazy old Ethiop girl, some wine of Ramesian vintage, I'll mix up a nectar of pearl. We'll drink to Osiris and Isis, the great Sphinx of the Van renown, old Cheops, the father of pyramids, the Ptolemies, then to the crown. By Ptah, let us try the new poison on some of our new Roman stock. I'd like to tip over some pyramid and give the old mummies a shock. What's that? Who seeks for admission? Was that a foghorn I heard blow? Can Tony be nearing the castle? Just look, Charmian dear, ere you go. Have something good, dearie, for breakfast, but you know what pleases me most. Some pelican's eggs a la Cairo, and fried phenicopters on toast. Remember about rising early, get up with the wagtail at 4, so smother the glim in the hallway, and lock up the back kitchen door. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Pinky by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. Pinky. I reckon winter's goin'. It's rainin' 'stead of snowin'. I tell ya there's no knowin' just where this child'll go. Might go to South Carolina, and summer there with Dinah. I guess I'd cut a shiner among the coons I know. Then there's my good old Massey, way down in Tallahassee. He ain't forgot this sassy child that used to sing. The why they call me Pinky was the color of my crinkly frock. I wore so shrinkly when I used to dance the fling. We gals out in the moonshine would dance the good old coonshine, and directly then we'd soon find that masses hear the noise. Then mighty quick she'd hurry down there all in a flurry, and find this huckleberry a dancin' for the boys. And then the way she'd take me, and land, oh goodness shake me, old missus raised and break me, no wonder I was so good. Old missus used to tell me that like the cow she'd bell me, or else she'd gone and sell me to Yankees I so rude. I remember Ramses Biddle, as black as Auntie's griddle, he used to play the fiddle, and feed 'em a holy show. And there was Luke and Jasper, Lucindy, Juice and Casper, that ignoramus Asper, written ornery looking moke. That old Cushfoot Crampback, that essence of the lampback, that inside ya old smokestack, us gals we'd call them smoke. And that new coon from Cuba, that used to play the tuba, he used to pat the juba while I danced the mobile buck. The old banjo's a pingin', and that pink frock a swingin', this yaller child a wingin', just hoeing down for luck. I ain't no mobile nigga, I cut no mobile figure, But yo pull down the trigger, you pester these here shoes. And when the fiddle's scraping, there's too much music scaping. I's got to get to shaping myself or get the blues. You wonder that I's weary, for all these days so dreary. There ain't one thing that's cherry about swaggle life for me. That's the reason that I's going, just as soon's it quits snowing, and the cold wind stops blowing, back to old Carolina State. There the ivy am a-creepin', where my poor old mother's sleepin'. Miss, excuse me, 'cause I's weepin', seems as if it couldn't wait. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Bungtown Canal by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. The Bungtown Canal. Do you remember Tom, Billy, and Sal, the old swimming days in the Bungtown Canal? The big milling logs fast asleep on its banks. We used to jump off and cut up odd pranks. In our tropical costume, we used to make sail, go home when we swum, in the Bungtown Canal. I never will forget, in tween you and me, you remember the place where the mill used to be? We had a long springboard out there and we'd scud, and just go head foremost clean into the mud. I may forget some things, but I never shall forget them old times round the Bungtown Canal. Nobody need never say nothing to me about the Blue Danube River or banks of the Dee. They can't produce sights like some that I've seen, crawling up on its banks and off in the green. Old marsh where the scum and malaria are is the pinsiest things in the world out in there. Me and John Price got the gall-blamest thing, with 6 legs and 4 fins, and a yellow jacket sting, 2 eyes in its head and 2 horns in its tail, and it carried a shell on its back like a snail. So we took it home and scared mother and Sal with what we fished out in the Bungtown Canal. Once there's a stranger just took a drink from the Bungtown Canal, and of course he didn't think. What was he doing? And after a while, he went and turned yellow as bile. So doctors all went to prescribing for him, making his chances a blamed slight more slim. What they all said was that he had a snake way down in his stomach, and he better take 1 or 2 whiskeys for eating each meal. Then in a week or 2 maybe he'd feel better. So naturally he took to drink, using rye whiskey 'bout 3 months I think. 'Cause having snakes in your stomach is tough. But snakes is a knowin' when they've got enough. So getting dissatisfied, most of 'em fled. Some hid in his boots, some got in his bed. I argued the point that he never'd have died if they just let him be on the inside. We buried him there where the low glasses creep. In a bed of pond lilies we put him to sleep, where the meadowlarks sing and the cry of the loon, and the rice hen is singing a doleful tune. We left him alone after writing his gal concerning his death in the Bungtown Canal. Oh, them barefooted days in the spot where I'd lay and just steep my hide in the glory of day, a-hearing the bulrushes whisper and sigh, and watching the shadow clouds hurrying by. How I long to go back there with some old-time pal and dive off once again in the Bungtown Canal. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain.
Da Massa by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org. The massa to the shepherd say, "Go call the sheep that's gone astray. The night is cold, I hear the wind a-shaking in my winder blind. Dar's some po' sheep that's gone astray. Go call 'em in. Coo-day, 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 coo-day." The shepherd said the night was cold, but all the sheep was in the fold. I call 'em in at set of sun. They all come running, 'cept the one that's always wandering away, and never minds the call, coo-day, 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 coo-day. The massa dem went fro the gloom of meadow fields. The autumn moon was dodging round behind a cloud, but still he goes a calling loud for that one sheep that's gone astray. I hear him call, coo-day, 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 coo-day. He listens long to hear the sound from some old wedder poking round. that's gone to rest down in the dell, and wandering round has lost his bell. Though soft and now so far away, I hear him call, "Coo-day, coo-day, 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 coo-day." But further on in gloom and damp, upon the border of the swamp, so chilled by dew and autumn's winds, right dar the po' lost sheep he finds. He lifts him up and leads the way, yet I hear Massa's echo say, "Coo-day, coo-day, 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 coo-day." And all night long the wind and rains and hail against the window panes, and dreams I hear the massa call, the wandering sheep he knows 'em all. He pants the road and shows the way, and ever stands and calls, "Coo-day, coo-day, 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 coo-day." End of poem. This recording's in the public domain.
Cooney in the Holla by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. Cooney in the Holla. Cooney in the holla, hide in hand the logs, little pickaninnies catching pollywogs. Banjo I'm a ping-ping, pinging out a tune, everything I'm lovely as a day in June. Ping-ping-ping, banjo I'm a pingin', sing-sing-sing, y'all gals a singin'. Wing-wing-wing, ain't that wingin' fine, the same old step in the old coon john. Cindy in the kitchen, trying out the lard, Juicy in the doorway, raking up the yard. Jasper I'm a pickin' on the old banjo, and he am a singin' I's goin' home to Clo. Cooney in the holla done gone up a tree, and he am a hidin' where no one can see. But he know his business enough not to come down, 'cause he know I'm likely meet that ferocious hound. Cooney in the holla, hark, I hear a gun. Get a goin', Ramses, Jude, get up and run. All the foolish niggers run until they pant. Bet my bottom dollar Lube has treated an ant. Pee-wee-wee, Pee-wee's in the cedars, bluebirds come, robins in the leaders, cutter rung-rung, bullfrog just now sung. Hear that distant thunder, guess that spring I'm sprung. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. After Weidenfeller Goes by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. After Weidenfeller Goes. It's going to be blamed lonesome after Weidenfeller goes. Catastrophes are following right and no one knows what's going to happen next, for banks are busting every day, and now we hear the woeful news that Wides are going away. Wides are going, think of that, not going up above, nor out upon midway places that sport the boys all love, are going to California or out to Idaho, but yet they say he's going away, that's why we're filled with woe. Of course he ain't going to die, or anything like that, he's simply got his salary raised, and kinda standing pat, with, I believe it's with the boss, I'm blamed if I can tell, but I know Wide's going away. Know that mighty well. I know the club'll miss him lots, so all the fellas here are gathered round the festal board tonight to give him cheer, and send him off in proper shape, which only goes to show we're mighty glad he's prosperin', but sad to see him go. I've stood upon the wild sea banks of fine Mich again, just left at sandy shores this morn to be here once again. Back here to meet our dear old friend with heart chock full of woe, and don't that show I'm mournin' too, 'cause White has got to go. God bless him, and let fortune smile and cheer him on each day. Suckers and fame still tag him on, and get right in his way. So if the club appears lonesome, when the frosts are coming on, we'll sit around and say it's just 'cause Weidenfeller's gone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Zacchaeus by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Zacchaeus climb up de sycamore tree, a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. Den he looked up de road jes' fur's he could see. a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. Oh, Zacchaeus knew he could done see de best. Ef he climb up de tree he could overlook de press, and haps he could sleep and get a leetle rest, while a-waitin' for de good Lord to come, waitin' for de good Lord to come along, come, a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. He could overlook the press, and he get a leetle rest, while a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. Ole Zacchaeus set on de bough of de tree, waitin' for de good Lord to come, a long time ago in de ole Judee, a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. Along about noontime, and eberyting clear, word went around dat de Lord was drawin' near, and de press begun to jostle, and de multitude to cheer, while a-waitin' for de good Lord to come, waitin' for de good Lord to come elong come, a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. When de Lord was drawin' near, how de folks began to cheer, while a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. When de Lord come along, he said to Zack, waitin' for de Lord to come, I's powerful glad you's here, I am for a fac', waitin' for de Lord to come. So come right down, you hear, out of dat tree, you's jes de berry pusson I's lookin' for to see. Dis day I abide at de house wid thee, waitin' for de Lord to come, waitin' for de Lord to come elong come, a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. De Republican and Senna took de Lord home to dinner, waitin' for de Lord to come. Now Zacchaeus he was an Israelite, waitin' for de good Lord to come, and he lived in a mansion way out of sight, while waitin' for de good Lord to come. And Zack knew de Lord knew he had stuff, and he wonder if de Lord was done makin' him a bluff. Hut de Lord went home wid Zack sure enough, a-waitin' for de Lord to come, waitin' for de good Lord to come elong come, a-waitin' for de Lord to come. Oh, Zacchaeus de sinner took de good Lord to dinner, a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. Oh, Zacchaeus he was sure enough a sinner, waitin' for de good Lord to come, and back in dem days was a 7-time winner, a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. But de Lord told Zack he must gib to de po', and neber let a beggar man pass his door. Den Zack he said, I will, Lord, sho', while a-waitin' for de good Lord to come, waitin' for de good Lord to come elong come, a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. So gib me de po' dat pass by yo' door, while a-waitin' for de good Lord to come. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Retrospection by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. I's a sittin' neaf de old magnolia tree, sort o' thinkin' ob de times dat used to be, and de huckleberry patches when we'd heerd the steamer Natchez, and de white folks all 'd hustle down to sea. Dar was Missy Eleanor and Julianne, and Haidee Lee, who lived wid Uncle Dan. But she went and runned away, and de folks set up and say dat she loped off wid a wicked northern man. Poor Cindy, she is daid, and Auntie Mary don't do nuffin now but set around and worry, and every night she say she spects to go next day. But her disease ain't one dat 'pears to hurry. The doctors seem as if dey hadn't made out what 'tis dat makes ole Auntie look so played out. But de time she will consume, turnin' heaven into gloom, will make de Lord repent when she's done laid out. Miss Eleanor she marry Cole Paxton, and de scandal 'bout de Colonel don't be axin', but dey say, I understand, dat he done shot off his hand, jest to keep from jinnin' good ole Stonewall Jackson. And Julianne, dat talk like she was hoarse, Dat huzzy, she's gone and got divorce. They lived in Chickamauga till she moved up to Chicago, 'cause things is mighty cheap up dar, of course. Yo' 'member Haidee Lee? I understand dat she's travelin' round de country wid a band, and I hear she sorter prances wid a skirt and thinks she dances. Did you ever, goodness land, wid the 'vantages they used to hab, and see how dem girls was all turned out? Now can it be that cussedness is sown, or is it in de home? Well, it must be in de family, seems to me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
St. Patrick's Day by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Mavourneen, sweet isle, I'm lonely without thee. I sigh for your hills and your calm sky so blue. Sure I never had cause one small moment to doubt thee, and when I'm not thinkin', I'm dreamin' of you. So lads, when I call yees, come sing your come all yees. Ah, here's to old Ireland buys every time. Och, Colleen's be aisy, you're driving me crazy. What day of our country is one half so fine? St. Patrick's the day, sure, it was in the mornin', and oh, how it graved me, Mavourneen, to part. But I left yees as I left me mother, a mournin', and kissin' the shamrock she placed near me heart. I'm sorry I left yees to cross the deep water, for the game that I've played wid misfortune's a draw. But don't ye be ailin', I'll soon be a-sailin', away to the Isle of sweet Erin go bragh. Then lend me the harp, and I'll wake Tipperary, sing by Killarney, wid Noreen, Maureen. The shamrock I'm pressin', and while I'm confessin', I'm praisin' St. Patrick and wearin' the green. So lads, when I call yees, come sing your come all yees. Ah, here's to old Ireland, boys, every time. Och, Colleen's be aisy, you're driving me crazy. What day of our country is one half so fine? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Injun Summer by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. Injun Summer. The Injun summer's comin', the bees is all through hummin', the watermelon thummin' has passed long time ago. The old clock in the kitchen is tickin' most bewitchin', while Gabe is out unhitchin', just case it looks like snow. The lambs is runnin' over the aftermath of clover, and yonder comes the Dover. I spec he's got a yarn about the old bellwether that's wanderin' round the meadow, and wants to get together with the sheep round the barn. Some days the sun is shinin', some days the wind is whinin', and then as after findin' big pippins on the ground, the birds have all stopped singin', wild geese is southward wingin'. Just look at 'em, see 'em stringin' where warmer weather's found. The yeller cat is nappin' and layin' round and gappin'. Bimby, he'll be slappin' some tomcat on the wall. There's a mellow yellow glory, 'cause the year's old and hoary, and a melancholy story sorta hangin' round us all. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
"'Cause It's Gittin' Spring by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. The meadowlark is pipin' forth a sweeter note to me, and I hear the peewees over yonder in the cedar tree. The popple leaves is quiverin' 'cause the wind is in the west, and the robin's round a hookin' straws to build hisself a nest. The blackbird he's a flashin' up the crimson on his wing. What's the reason? Oh, the reason's 'cause it's gittin' spring. The old man's got the rheumatiz and stiff as he can be. Why, it don't get settled, weather's more'n he can see. But when it clears off splendid, then he's feared the crops is lost, and he reckons just a little wind 'd keep away the frost. The kitchen door is open, I can hear Elmiry sing. What's the reason? Oh, the reason's 'cause it's gettin' spring. The air is kind of softening and you think it's going to storm. Sometimes it's kind of chilly, then again it comes off warm. And just when it's the stillest you can hear the bullfrog's note, and it 'pears as if he wondered how the frost got in his throat. The ducks and geese are riotous and strainin' hard to sing. What's the reason? Oh, the reason's 'cause it's gettin' spring. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Decorate the Cabin by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. Decorate the Cabin. I's done gone to decorate my cabin with all the bric-a-brac I's been a-habbin'. Then I's bound to hunt her wife. Did I is, yo bet your life, there's nothing like a woman round her blabbin'. I's gone to hang a coonskin on the door, and have some turkey rugs run on the floor. And I never yet has seen the old cabin look so clean. If you peep in there sometime you'll find it so. I lost my wife last summer, Jane, so frass, 'cause she done got up and blew out the gas. And ever since the leavin', I's been sorta grievin', but I hope the one I's catchin' now will last. We's gone to start right into decoratin', and you'll be surprised as what I'm statin'. She's 6 feet high and taperin', and out of sight and paperin'. I's mighty glad I've been so long a-waitin'. We gone to arrange the pictures on the wall. You talk about a fine reception hall. You ought to see the flowers and the chromios in ours. Why, the white man's house ain't in the thing at all. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain.
The Ultimatum by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. You can decorate your office with 1,000 gilded signs, and have upholstered furniture in quaint antique designs. Have the latest patent telephone where you can yell hello. But, said she, I just made up my mind that typewriter must go. You can stay down at the office as you have done after hours. And if you are partial to bouquets, I'll furnish you with flowers. You can spring the old club story when you come home late, you know. But remember, I have made up my mind that typewriter must go. You can let your bookkeepers lay off and see a game of ball. The office boy can leave at noon or not show up at all. There, what is this upon your coat? It isn't mine, I know. I think I know a thing or two. That typewriter shall go. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dreamy Days by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. Dreamy Days. Oh, the dreamy days of youth, in appearance how uncouth, as we waded through the frog ponds and the ditches, with big patches on each knee, and where they hadn't ought to be. Oh, the days when one suspender held our breeches. Oh, the dreamy days of yore, and the slippery cellar door. Oh, that cherry tree whose fruit we oft were testing. Then we'd wait till after tea, when we'd sing with doleful glee. Oh, how often mother made it interesting. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When the Stage Gits In by Benjamin King, recorded for LibriVox.org by Jude. Pap'll git a letter, and Uncle Zed a book, and Auntie Jane expects her magazine, and school'll all be out, and the children run and shout, while a-playin' one old cat out on the green, and the men at's in the grocery store 'll come outside and stand and talk and look around and grin, for the folks down at the post office a-standin' all around are happy when the stage gits in. Ma has done the baking and made some patty cakes, and Lizzie has done the sweeping all alone, and she's dusting up the furniture and setting things about, 'cause tomorrow we're expecting Aunts Afrone. Nan has had her hair did up in papers all night long, and today she's a-frizzing it again. I bet you any money she's expecting someone too, 'at'll be here when the stage gets in. When you see the yaller cat begin a-washing up, and her hind leg pinted over that way, some folkses allers say it is the surest kind o' sign 'at company is liable to come, and when the parlour's opened a sort o' funny smell comes 'cause the fire's kindled up again. We're going to have a high old time, and all our relatives 'll be here when the stage gets in. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Cultured Girl Again by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. The Cultured Girl Again. She was so aesthetic and cultured, just doted on Wagner and Gluck, and claimed that perfection existed in some foreign English-bred duke. She raved over Browning and Huxley, and Tyndall and Darwin and Taine, and talked about flora and fauna, and many things I can't explain. Of Madame Blavatsky the occult, Theosophy, art, and then she spoke of the Cunnied Sibyl, and Venus de Medici. She spoke of the why and the wherefore, but longed for the whither and whence. And she said, yelept, yip yap, and yonder were used in alliterative sense. While I like the fool sat dumbfounded, and wondered what she didn't know, 'twas to when I bade her good evening, I thought it in season to go. I passed her house yesterday evening, I don't know but it seems to me, she was chasing around the kitchen, and getting things ready for tea. I heard her sweet voice calling, "Mother," it was then that I felt quite abashed, for she yelled, "How shall I fix the taters, fried lionized, baked biled, or mashed?" End of poem. This recording's in the public domain. The Cushville Hop by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by antonygirgis. The Cushville Hop. I's gone down to the Cushville Hop, and there ain't no niggers gon' make me stop. Miss gon' deck me all up in white, so watch the step that I's gettin' in tonight. My honey, 'tain't no use. My honey, turn me loose. My honey, watch me shine, when my foot am a-shakin' in the old coonjine. No black niggers come foolin' round me, I's just to look at, anyone can see. I's just an ornament, and I must fast. No nigger put his arm around my snow-white dress. Nigger, keep away, understand? Nigger, look out for your hand. I's just to gaze at, I must fast, so don't put your arm around my snow-white dress. Bring out the banjo, pluck, plank, pling. Watch the motion of my step and my swing. Don't you pester me, or make me stop, when I get in motion at the Cushville Hop. Nigger, keep away, nigger, not today. Keep away from me, 'cause I done can't stop. I's just caught my motion for the Cushville Hop. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain.
God Only Knows by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. I saw an old beggar this morning, Lucindy. The weather was cold and bleak and windy, and the frost took hold of the end of his nose. Where was he going? God only knows, child, God only knows. All he had on was an old woolen jacket, and pants that had done seed a might hard racket. His shoes wore all out, case I saw his toes. Where was he going? God only knows, child, God only knows. He said his grandchildren had turned him away, with nothing to eat on last Thanksgiving Day. With no overcoat, he looked about froze. Where was he going? God only knows, child, God only knows. He lifted his hands, they was bony and blue, and axed me was dis here the main avenue. Then walked over dar to those tenement rows. Had he friends in dar? Gord only knows, child, Gord only knows. I don't blab in treating a grandfather so, case some day it's comin' right square back, you know. And when we grow old and come to the snows, then who'll care for us? Gord only knows, child, Gord only knows. Gord keeps account of the sparrows that fall. We stand a waitin', we soon hear 'em call. God brings the winter, the rain and the snows. God makes the wind blow, but just where it goes, God only knows, child, God only knows. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Just Take My Advice by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Just a little sunshine, just a little rain, just a little happiness, just a little pain. Just a little verselet sounds mighty nice, 'bout some other business. Just take my advice. Just a little chicken coop standing near the fence. Just a little darky, too, without a bit of sense. Just a little pressin' by the farmer on the trigger. Just a little 'splosion, then a perforated nigger. Just a little lazy coon round a shootin' craps, then a buyin' policies round the lottery traps. Just a little out of cash, just a little stuck. Just a little hungry, just a nigger's luck. Just a little bettin' on the favorite in the race. Just a little ways behind, workin' hard for place. Just a little money won by dat other moke. Just a little ting like dat left his darky broke. Just a little pressin' on the latch wid no one in. Just a little jewelry, just a diamond pin. Just a little sheriff on a nigger's trail. Just such little tings as that got dis coon in jail. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Patriotism and a Pension by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Oh, 4th of July, am mighty close by, case I done smell powder in the air. And the beatin' of the drums when the regiment comes sort of minds me of the times in the war. I was chief of a division that furnished the provision, and I done looked with pride on my troops. I hate 'em so well drilled that none of them got killed. Our business was inspectin' chicken coops. I was shot through the lip and wounded in the hip, and fractured more or less about the head. At the trouble round Fort Pickens, I was scummaging for chickens when my foot slipped and I fell off the shed. General Sherman give us right to forage most the night, so that's why I was trompin' on this peg. I was out abductin' salt when someone hollered halt, and a fool up and shot me in the leg. Just what I want to mention is I want increase of pension, and I make my affidavit for the judge that I was in command when a shell bust in my hand, and for 47 days I couldn't budge. I'll stop and hold my peace if I get a good increase. I want my pension bill increased to 5. For my lip and hip and hand, and my head, you'll understand, and 1 just for comin' out alive. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Old Musician's Fate by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. The Old Musician's Fate. He played so many instruments, 1,000 won't express the number that he handled. Why, 'twas more'n that, I guess. And when he got to playin' hard, we couldn't make him stop. It seemed he didn't want to rest, or ever take a drop. He'd looked around for things to play, then walk up to the viol, as if he'd suddenly forgot, and touch up that a while. The mandolin was his best holt. He just took the diploma with his Philomela Tierra del Fuego La Paloma. He played an upright pianoforte, a concert grand or square, and he imitated Patty Roofsky, all except the hair. You should have heard him when he played upon an old trombone, that song about the moments when one wants to be alone. He played upon an aeolian, told us how he used to roam, and play Little Sally Waters 10,000 miles from home. He played a big church organ great, played with his hands and feet, and often played the choir too. Oh, it was just a treat. He played the juice harp, hit the pipe, and worked the organette. He played not only instruments, but every one he met. He played 'em all. You should have heard him jerk a gruesome tune and play those eozoic notes upon a long bassoon. He played the soft guitar and scraped the tuneful violin. Old number 5 was his best holt. He used to sit and grin, and just catch up the instruments, one right after another. It didn't make no difference, for one was good as t'other. Strange instruments, the lyre and lute, and others that he tooted. You took your choice. He didn't care whether he fifed or fluted. He'd rather play in anything, unless it was to drink, because he said it rested him and gave him time to think. He made some curious instruments that nobody could play, and said that he would just about surprise us all some day. And so one time he fetched her out, of all the lookin' things, with harps and horns attached to her and run criss-cross with strings. He brought her forth and sat her down as if he knew his biz, and when we asked him what it was, he answered, "What it is." We laughed as we were seated round. I recollect 'was June. It rained that spring, rained all this morn, and rained that afternoon. There seemed a touch of magic in the deftness of his hand, a look about his pallid face we didn't understand. The instrument we noted much, it had such curious stringin', the frets arranged in such a way he made it so for singin'. Then touching on a happy theme that carried us remote to sunset lands, from melody divine was in each note. We listened to the lullabies till all were silent, stilled. In memory of the bygone days, the eyes of all were filled. Then on to sterner manhood and old age. Ah, how he played! We saw again life's pathway too, but oh, how far we'd strayed. Then on to sunken cheeks we pass, from life then on to glory. O song, O dirge, O sainted theme, sad requiem to life's story. That pallid look now comes again, the tremors o'er him creep. His head falls back. Dead? No, my friend, he's simply gone to sleep. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Record from Way Back by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org. Yo s'pose I's gwine to come and barter wid dis nag if I 'lowed he wasn't ever gwine to go. Why, child, yo make me tired. Dis very hoss was sired by Pocahontas 40 years ago. I's doctored up his wheezin' and done stopped him of his sneezin' and partially cured his spivin' on his back. If he wasn't quite so bulky, I'd put him for the sulky and let yo see his motion on the track. Septin' through the winter last year, I haid him out the pasture, but the farmer said he didn't have no sense. Dar's nothing I'll keep him quiet when he gets down on his diet, and once eat a whole barbed wire fence. The way I come to buy 'em was the day I come to try 'em. I's dumbfoundered with the way he took the bit, and as I was on my way back, he collided with a haystack, and I couldn't coax his tension off'n hit. Yo notice that he winks, sir, he's comin' out the kinks, sir, and mind yo don't go near his heels at all, 'case he's nervous and he's dangerous, and specially so to strangers, and I never 'low no person round his stall. He's powerful fond of grazin', and his appetite's amazin'. That's a sure sign that he's got good bottom to him. When I bought him, he's so thin that he couldn't catch his wind,
and Rasmus, yo could read a paper through him. I tell yo he's a hummer, 'low I'll show the folks this summer, 'case just now he ain't feelin' zacky bright. When he gets his second wind, sah, you ought to see him spin, sah. Why, child, that hoss's record's out of sight. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain. Thanksgiving in Old Virginny by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org. Today's Thanksgiving and good land or living. Go give the old hoss a double mess of corn. Old Pop Bubble possum's in trouble, and we's gwine ter feast upon him shows yo bone. Nigger with the long straw, he get the possum. Nigger with the next straw, the jackrabbit. Then, nigger with the next one, he gets the turkey. But the short straw done draw the little guinea hen. The little speckled hen, the little guinea hen. Little pickaninny has to eat the guinea hen. Today's Thanksgiving, good land or living. Po' old beggar man comes knocking at the door. Give him off yo table, long as yo's able. 'Case poverty and hunger may sometime come to yo. Doggy with the long straw, he get the possum. Doggy with the next straw, the jackrabbit. Then, doggy with the next one, he get the turkey. But the short straw done draw the little guinea hen, the little speckled hen, the little guinea hen. The short straw done draw the little guinea hen. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain. Grave Matters by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org. When this old man comes ter die, death is most unsightly. Don't yo lay me down in no room with the pull-down curtain gloom. 'Tain't the place the dead should stay when the spirit's gone away, off to where hit's brightly. Struck the person 'fore he gins, tetch the subject tritely, 'case hit's tenderly understood I hain't been so powerful good. And 'fore him ter shout and groan 'bout me sittin' round the throne, 'low hit won't look rightly. When the funeral gins to start, shove my box in tightly. 'Member, I's in the hearse, yo am comin', but I's first. Ef the mourners grieve and mope, so's to make the hosses lope, keep the team up sprightly. Lower me slowly in the grave, drap the earth down lightly. Needn't linger long and say, 'Spense wid prayers the better way. Don't keer ef nobody sings, jest to know the church bell rings, squine to please me mightily. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain.
Comin' Christmas Morn by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. I'm going to start next Saturday. It won't take more than a day to visit the United States in my new toboggan sleigh. I've sent Jack Frost ahead of me to sort of find a road, so my dears'll find it easy, 'cause I've got an awful load. But they've had lots of exercise and know the way by sight. I've speeded them to Baffin Bay and back here 'fore 'twas night. And once I drove to Puget Sound and once to Bering Sea. I had ter make a trip up here to get a Christmas tree. I wisht you all could see my house, built out of cakes of ice. I guess you think it cold inside, but no, it's awful nice. All carpeted with sealskin rugs and ermine, mink, and sable. I'm going to keep it furnished so, as long as I am able. And no gomphobers in the north can steal round unawares, because my castle's guarded by 2 great big polar bears. So if a burglar man should come and try to break into it, they'd squeeze his life out in a jiff. I've taught 'em how to do it. Just right around behind my house is where I keep the toys. And I'm comin' south'ard with fer all good girls and boys. My big cold storage warehouse stands right by a frozen tarn, and right alongside o' it I have my reindeer's barn. So never mind, they're both piled full of everything on earth. When Christmas gifts you can't rest, I don't know what they're worth. And 4 big sea dogs set outside, 2 walruses, a seal, that knows so much if you'd come nigh, he'd be the first to squeal. The purtiest sight you ever saw's when things is lit up nights. You know we don't have gas up here, but use the northern lights. And forth from every icicle a dazzle spreads away and turns the whole big frozen zone into one mighty day. From where I live I'd have you know, it's truth upon my soul, I don't have very far to go to see the big North Pole. Where Uncle Sam has pinned his flag, there's where the cold wind pipes and flaunts the emblem of the brave, the proud old stars and stripes. I'm comin', children, coming, yes. You ought to see my sleigh and hear the tinkle tinkle as I speed along the way. Through forest bare or snowy plains, as sure as you are born, old Santa Claus is coming, and will be here Christmas morn. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sad Fate of Yim Janssen by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Nienaber. Sad Fate of Yim Janssen. I been here in this country from jaar go last week. I been smart Norwegians, and keeps on pretty quick. When I came here, I see big crowd of fallers, and I tell, I wants me go pretty bad to the Stockholm Hotel. The busman say where you came from. I say by Copenhagen. He puts me right through crowd, and get me in his wagon. Next day get job in engine house. The foreman's he like me. He raise my wages little while. I think I stay with he. I get me acquainted nice gal. Her name is Christina Janssen. She been here bout 16 year. She come here by Wisconsin. She say she work Sedgwick Street, by the Norway Hotel. She got blue eye and some red hair. I like her hair pretty well. I ask her take a streetcar ride. She say she think she walk. I walk by her to Lincoln Park, and have a pretty good talk. She call me her particularly friend, and then I think she say, who will be my pappy when Yim is gone away. Pretty quick she see woman friend, and then she say to me, Mr. Janssen, please excuse me. I will meet you after tea. In little while I think I go to the Stockholm Hotel. He miss me money, watch and chain. I feel me not real well. I drink me alcoholen, both 15 glass and swear. He fight me 2 policemen's. He think he soon get square. They call patrolin' wagon, and I read to the Yale. I stay me there 'bout 5 day, then I come out on bail. I tell the justice man about the red-head gal I seen. The crowd of fellers laugh and say that ya is pretty green. Chicago County, ver bad place. I lose my wages all. I take my trunk to depot train and go me to Santa Paul. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Legend of the Saint Joseph by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. Legend of the Saint Joseph. There's a place 'pon my soul called the Old Devil's Hole, by the Chippewa chief Black Otter, who when business was damp went into his camp and filled up with fierce fire water. Then over the river, he called to his squaw Maumee, "Go get my canoe, and you may come too, and bring little Wally Wogee." So off to the river they all flew the ground, Black Otter as brave as could be, and the little papoose, he couldn't get loose, was strapped to the back of Maumee. They floated till dark, when the wolf's weird bark Frightened the wits of Maumee, so she loosened the sack, tied fast to her back, that contained little Walle wo ge. Black Otter bent low, and reached for his bow, when the boat tipped up on its side, and in fell he with his squaw Maumee, and the boat set free with Walle wo ge sped swiftly along with the tide. Down the swift river's tide the papoose took a ride, the canoe shot along like a rocket, but he lay there as snug as a bug in a rug, or an old woolen glove in a pocket. On, out to sea drifted Walle wo ge, with his face pointed up to the skies, and history says, which is true more or less, that the gray sea gulls pecked out his eyes. Black Otter was drowned, and never was found, but they say that old squaw Maumee waded back through the damp of the marsh to the camp in search of her Walle wo ge. Came back through the swale, and the rain, and the hail, by the side of the waters so blue, in search of her baby, to pick him up, maybe. I wish this would all come out true. Her spirit distressed, she beat on her breast, for the poor old squaw's grief knew no bound, but Monet so swift bore her off on a skiff to the land of the famed hunting ground. On the 9th of November, I hope you'll remember, a phantom one plainly can see walk down from the hole in search of the soul of poor little Walle wo ge. Now this is the legend of this old time region, and the tale of the squaw Maumee, likewise old Black Otter, who fell in the water, and poor little Walle wo ge. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Little Jude by Benjamin King. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Poor little Jude. Why, don't you know dat little child? A year ago her mudder died. I reckon now 'twas jes last spring I's tellin' yo' 'bout little Jude. Poor little waif indeed she war, and how she cried, jes out de crib dat baby war, and her mudder died. Could walk and run and jabber some, dat little Jude. Hit make me cry, tell yo' hit do, jes when I think 'bout little Jude. The funeral day she war asleep, tucked in de crib dat little child had on her bib, dat orphan Jude. De mourners come, and when dey prayed, dat little Jude waked up and say, "Mammy, Mammy," jes dat way. Nobody know jes what to do wid little Jude. She cry so hard dey lif her down, from room to room she toddle round, a cryin', "Mammy, come and take your little Judy dat's awake. Your little Judy's wide awake." My land! De tears come in my eyes, and when she found her own high chair dat had been hid, and pushed it up longside of where her mudder was, and den climbed up and pounded on de coffin lid, I couldn't stand de awful grief, de sobs and de tears, and little Judah lookin' round, poor one dat now at last she found. Why, child, I can't never will forget that day. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Little Puckenzinger by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org. I thank a gal by outer sight, she by little Puckenzingen, her eyes be bright like stars by night, and by gol my ears be ringing far much, when I leave that theater house. Des var fein gal by drassen weit, she by des contraldo singen, I think sometimes she by just like the fairies things with klingen dresses on, when I leave der Titterhaus. The songs she sings by Dos Celas, by the Spanish language written, the puttiest thing I think there was in all this world. I think I smitten with her, when I leave that theater house. I go and see her every night. I wonder what she thinks by me, and sit all time by the front seat and look by her. I think I buy big fools when I leave the theatre house. But all the same I go once more, just for one glance by her putty eyes, that make my heart stop. Then I feel sore very much. I think it's all lies, those eyes, when I leave the theatre house. I think this gal by out of sight, she by little pucken singing, her eyes be bright like stars by night, and by gall my ears be ringing fair much when I leave the theatre house. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain.
Down in Walhalla by Benjamin King, read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama. Down in Walhalla. I put flowers on Leda's grave down in Walhalla. Flowers that in the spring she gave, asking me to cherish, save. Still I placed them on her grave down in Walhalla. Tender rains came down at night down in Walhalla. Took the flowers I had pressed tenderly to earth and blessed, they returned, newly dressed, down in Walhalla. But one flower I had pressed down in Walhalla did not find its way up through with the violets so blue and the marigolds that grew down in Walhalla. Farewell for evermore, farewell Walhalla. Tender rains from ashen skies nevermore can ope the eyes of the angelhood that lies cold in Walhalla. Withered hopes, how like my soul, down in Walhalla, nevermore shall rise and bloom, such the fate of love. The doom of all is but the tombed gloom down in Walhalla. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of Ben King's verse by Benjamin King.